A man fires a rifle for many years, and afterward, he turns the rifle in at the armory, and he believes he's finished with the rifle. But no matter what else he might do with his hands remember the rifle.
Take your top lip and connect it to your bottom lip, you will shut the fuck up. Sometimes shutting the fuck up is the best thing you can do.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Welcome to the show. It is Thursday, 7 p.m. This is the Trip Through That Podcast. We're live on TikTok. We're live on Instagram, Facebook, and getting ready to get things going here. So today, make sure want to mention our guest from last week, Damon Maxwell, came on. Missed the show last week. We'll get into that. Great goat lockers, I think what they were calling it. It was some good shit that came out of there, that I watched the show when I got back, but really appreciate Damon Maxwell coming on. Want to give a shout out to Becky Joe Art, and I think there's an update on this. I think the Thor is actually finished now, so we'll get to that here in a few minutes. Go ahead and visit our friends over at sameflagsameoath.com. That is a veteran-owned business. They do all the gear for the So Smoking Gooder Show and the Got Your Six Culture, and they are the power behind all the Project Zero store. Shout out to Texas Chrome Heroes Foundation. The Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo is coming up, so if you're in the game for sponsorship, hit up Texas Chrome Heroes Foundation. They're taking sponsors on, and that's one heck of a party that goes on down at the Livestock and Rodeo Show. One more thing we want to mention here for Jen Lee in the barbecue world. IBCA has a spring clean coming up at the Tomball VFW on March 14th. Great veteran event benefiting some great veteran organizations, and the Kids Q, the future of barbecues involved. So if you in the Houston area, that's March 14th at the Tomball VFW. Visit ibca.com and support Dennis Butterworth for that. A previous guest, Danny Archer. If you're an American Legion Post 135 over in Savannah, Georgia, they're having the 9th annual Warrior Lift Golf Classic. And this year, their board has chosen Equine Valor Project, who is headed up by a former guest, Danny Archer, has picked the Equine Valor Project for its benefit this year. So get out there if you're in the Savannah area, support a wonderful organizations doing great things for veterans. Adventure Therapy, they got one starting tonight where they're at Big Bend Ranch. That's going to be a cool thing they got going on. And they got surf and shark fishing upcoming April, May, June, and July. Hit up projectzero.com. That's projekzero.com. Boy, Cal Schudik's out there. He's got some new gear that's dropping. I'm going to have all 4 of these pretty soon, man. They got some cool, that's a new style, I guess, the fishing shirt. Love it. All right, I'm about to turn it over to our guy here, Matt Johnson, man. He gives great advice. He dropped this one on me the other day. He was like, at some point in your life, everything's going to be coming real fast your way. You're probably just in the wrong lane. I mean, there's a voicemail waiting list for him. He is the most interesting guy in the entire veteran podcast history. So here we go, Matt Johnson.
Oh, wow. Thanks. Appreciate that. Well, welcome, everybody. It's Thursday. We're glad you're here. It's another Thursday, another amazing story. And yes, so everybody gets the update. You can see it behind me. It's Odin. He is finished. And look at him. He's looking down on us. He looks badass, too, by the way. Shout out to Becky for painting this badass painting. I can't wait to see the next one. I know a few of the next ones that she's got coming up. So if you like art and you like badass shit, you need to pay attention because she's got a lot of stuff coming in the future. Last week was fun. Sorry you missed the tie. It was a goat locker. We did say that a few times, but we don't often get to have fun when Ty's not here. So I do want to apologize to everybody for last week. We didn't have cool slides like Ty just showed and all that because me and Al couldn't figure out how to make shit work. So sorry about that. But without further ado, so we can get into it, let's take it to the hero.
First of all, it was a goat locker and it was fun. But now we got our boy back, so fuck all that goat locker talk. Today's more of a question for the team and for everybody out there, because I'm really frustrated with my wife. Right? Let me just. She has this one fucking seasoning. Now, we don't just have white people seasoning in our house where it's just like salt and pepper and like spices ketchup. Like we have real shit. Like I have like fucking the seasoning fucking smorgasbord. It's beautiful. I use it for all my barbecue shit. But she has this one fucking seasoning that she fucking puts on fucking everything, bro. I swear she puts that shit in desserts, I think. She puts that shit on every meal we have. It could be spaghetti, it could be chili, it could be whatever. It's going to have this certain seasoning in it. Not that it's not a good seasoning, but damn, can we get some variety around this motherfucker? Around the Hero household. I got 1,000 seasonings. Use some cool shit. Spaghetti don't need this seasoning, right? That's use Italian seasoning in spaghetti. Chili gets the chili season. I don't understand her thought process. I just want to ask my brothers on the show, does your wife have like a house seasoning or like a go-to seasoning, or is it just my fucked up situation?
Well, I would tell you that I do the cooking.
You're like, we're white. We use salt and pepper, motherfucker. We don't deviate. I get it.
Crazy, dude. I do all the cooking, so we have a variety of seasonings that go around in here. But the question, though, is what kind of seasoning is it?
So it's pretty much like, what do y'all call that shit in Louisiana? Like the Trinity. It has everything in it. It has like garlic and salt and fucking onion and like everything in it. Like it's literally like an all-purpose everything seasoning, and it's good. But bro, it ain't good for everything.
The Trinity in Louisiana is celery,
carrots, and onions and bell pepper, whatever. I don't.
Yeah.
Bob.
I thought you was gonna say hot sauce, because everybody put hot sauce in everything.
Some of us do, but I'm just saying I was like, I see her cooking, and I'm like, oh, let me guess, fucking house seasoning. She's like, yeah, it's great on everything. That might be true, but I want a little variety. You know what I'm saying?
She went to the store and bought some of that Mrs. Dash and just throws it on.
No,
there.
bro, it's literally like a fucking off-brand. Like it's in a fucking tub like this big, and it's like it fucking goes into everything, dude. I don't get it. Like,
you're gonna get off the podcast today, and April's gonna be like, "Well, then you just cook every day, then shit. You don't like it,
nah,
you gotta eat it."
I'm gonna tell April's ass, look, I'm gonna tell my woman how it is. Like you gonna fucking do it. You told around this motherfucker? You gonna cook? You gonna spice up my shit or else?
Hold on, she puts everything in there.
I thought she was coming. I heard my door creak a little bit. I was like, oh shit, I'm just kidding. I fucking love you.
I love that seasoning. See, that's what happens.
I fucking love you. I love you, bitch.
No, we use all kinds of seasonings too, man. We make Cajun food, Italian food, Mediterranean food, all that. I think tonight we had Tuscan chicken, so
Well, what does this mean? Why does Bob keep saying this about you and couches?
I'm always talking. Yeah, I'm always talking shit. So I'm back on the couch at the house.
Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, but he bought like a $20,000 couch. So that bitch
I did. It is a nice couch. It is nice.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of couch.
The way my bank kind of set up, I didn't buy it. I financed it. I'm still in that stage of my life where got extra shit to it. It's nice, bro. I'll sleep on that motherfucker for real.
Yeah. What about you, Ty? What kind of seasonings you got over there?
Man, I like the savory stuff. So I buy a lot of War Pig stuff. So I'll put any rub he has for brisket. I'll put it on anything, popcorn, anything that you eat, anything that you want to season. But like, I like the real savory stuff. I buy I know that Eddie Morales, shout out to Pitmaster. He's got something called brisket. Brisket Reckoning or something like that, and it's amazing on.
No, I'm with you, bro. Shout out fucking War Pig. I use a lot of their shit.
Calzada, whatever he's mixing up, like.
Well, I love Blues Hog. I use a lot of their shit too.
Yep. What's funny, Al? Is you're in here talking shit about the everything season that April uses. You go barbecue, and April will be talking to her friends like, "This motherfucker put War Pig on everything."
Oh, she does, bro. I'm sure she's like, he uses raspberry chipotle barbecue sauce on everything. Because that's just delicious.
Can we get barbecue sauce up in here?
Yeah, she's like, can we get some fucking, what's that shit used to be called? Fucking Heinz. Can we get some of that Heinz barbecue sauce?
Oh, speaking of barbecue sauce, man, I don't know if you guys paid attention on it, but former guest, Daddy James Barbecue.
Yes.
Not only is he coming out with new barbecue sauce, but your boy's got some coffee out now.
Does he? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me see if I have a picture of that. Go ahead and keep talking.
That coffee looks good, man. I have to get some of that.
Hey, I want to
Shout
give
out to Daddy James.
Shout out to my people at Horse Soldier too. You people making some good ass whiskey.
Project Halo makes great beer. You know, all the veteran owned joints. That's what we're talking about.
That's all we rep. That's all we rep. These veteran companies.
Yeah. So, Ty, you know, we've got maybe 2 minutes tops. Walk us through this. Walk us through your underway experience, because me and Al we don't even know what it's like to get underway.
Yeah, talk to me about your sea time, because we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, okay. So like, I'm not going to do the Blue Falcon of the week anymore. It's just because
there's so many of them.
I'm going to leave that to CIA Bob. Like, there's so much like foul shit going on that I could talk about that I just don't want to talk about. So I'm going to hunt the good stuff. So last week I was out of the show because I went on a Disney cruise. So on this Disney cruise, I had a Navy family buddies of mine named Adam Linky. He's the guy that's going to go fishing with us, offshore or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So, had a great Disney magic, wonderful fucking cruise. It was awesome. Like, loved it. But okay. So my favorite experience, of course, was like going into the cenotes. I've said that before. Got to go see some crocodiles and stuff like that. I love being in nature. And I'm out in the, the Yucatan Peninsula where, the meteor hit 66 million years ago. So me being a nerd, I love all that area. I love the Mayan culture and learning about it. So got to get on some Mayan ruins. So the cruise is phenomenal, right? Here's the coolest part. The day we're getting on the ship, we get in on one side, couldn't go to our rooms till like 1:30. And then, so I'm sitting up at the top level on level 9 up there where the stacks are there, the red stacks. And, we're looking out the other side. And what do we see? My Navy buddy's like, I think that's the Texas. And I was like, oh, the Texas. So I looked this up. That's the last dreadnought battleship in the world.
Yeah, that thing is leaning to the left a little bit too.
Yeah, is commissioned in 1914. Had service in World War I and World War II. It's known historically for flooding the starboard blister tanks or something in order to list left or list right, so they could raise the elevation so that it could shoot inland on Normandy during D-Day. So the fact that it fought in both world wars, came back, had some didn't get taken care of. I guess it started listing again, but it started listing in the same way, I guess, that when it did during D-Day. So they had to do actually flooding this time. So the ghosts of the most sailors are still on that thing, man. The historical reverence I felt was really cool.
So a cool story, maybe. I don't know. They gave me an award for leadership when I was here in Houston, and the award, they took decking from the USS Texas, and they made the award out of the decking from the Texas.
Oh, that's cool as hell.
Yeah.
That's some Navy shit right there. That's how I love y'all's lore, man. That's the one thing that I love hearing the leadership stories from you guys is I was EWO, so I had a lot of that. They told me about a lot of stuff, but y'all lived that. That was a part of leadership that we didn't do in the Army. We were
we call that repurposing stuff so we don't throw it away. The Navy's a whole bunch of orders.
No, the Navy's fucking cheap.
Reuse it in some form or fashion.
We are cheap. That's the problem. We ain't got no money. We're like, you know what? We'll give you a piece of this wood, call it an award.
Yeah, they're like, you gonna throw that wood away? No. We could do some stuff with that wood.
Yeah.
So next week, I was going to see if we wanted to do the story on the recent uptick in testicular injuries in women's sports. I think Al was going to do a special rant on that at some point, but
that's something.
Yeah, we may do that next week.
Yeah, next week I'm going to talk about it because it's becoming a trend. It's a problem.
Man, I
preposterous. Shout out to whoever Yo Boy Mace is. Yo Boy Mace 193. Shout out. Hello from Columbus, Georgia. Shout out to the 706. That's my homeland. It's Columbus, Georgia. Not sure who that is, but we're glad you're watching, brother. Appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Southside Columbus, baby. Dude, row.
He's got the coolest freaking black and white photo. If he used AI to do that, I need to know the prompt he used because I need to make myself look that fucking cool in a picture. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So that just to introduce him just a little bit. Like sometimes we read bios, sometimes we just wax poetic about the people. So this dude's lived many different faces, has gone through many different journeys, deployed. He'll tell you during the story here, he's deployed his entire career and moved his family around. And he's one of these people that you see them and the family values that he has, taking care of soldiers, being there for, his peers and, just shaping, mentoring, molding people that were in the military. And, people like Al, people like Matt and I, we lived that life. That was our, we did that as a career for 20 years. So this guy, Ramon Martinez, I deployed with him in 2010, 2011, and just a great guy. He's lived a bunch of lives. He's, of course, combat engineer. He's a scout master. He is now he's the Ranger, Scouting America Ranger for the biggest Camp Geronimo in Arizona. And, I've seen his family grow up. I've seen, his love of his life and his wife. I've seen them move from, Germany to the military to White Sands, out where you guys know about White Sands. And like, he's got a great story. Can't wait for you guys to meet him. Ramon Martinez.
Hey, before he jumps in, Ty, so I want to just a couple people in the comments. I want to say hey to Beth Harris. Thank you for watching. And that's her grandson is the young buck from Columbus, Georgia. So she said that's her grandson.
Make sure you repeat some of the words that are going to be said on here. Al has a great mouth. I'm sure she's already prepped them though.
Hey, you do your thing, little motherfucker. We love you.
This will not be scout friendly.
Oh yeah, I hope you didn't tell the truth to line up and watch tonight.
Hey, I was a first class scout. I was a first class scout. I didn't get past that, but I was.
Did you get kicked out?
Not a lot of people do.
We did. My brother one night it sounds crazy. After a scout meeting, we on the way home. We were living in military housing, and on the way back, walking back in housing, my brother Mike. Y'all met Mike, seen White Mike. You can expect this from him, but he decided it was a good idea to like vandalize cars on the way home. So he was like painting on cars. He was painting his name on cars, his initials and shit. And like the next day, like my dad gets a knock at the door, and they're like, "Do you have a son named Mike?" And they're like, "He's like, yeah." He's like, "Yeah, Mike." He's like, "Well, apparently he spray painted his name on my car or wrote with whiteout or whatever we had, and apparently it's frowned upon in the Scouts to do that kind of shit." I didn't do it, but I didn't stop him, so they kicked us both out.
Hey, look, White Mike was like, "I was trying to earn that graffiti rating badge they was talking about in Scouts tonight."
Bro, we were little hood rats, We were like, let's do it, bro. Let's write our names on people's cars. They're never gonna know. There's only a couple of heroes in the world. Let's do that.
They're never gonna know because we're on base and they see us every day. The stuff we think of. Well, Marty, welcome to the show.
Yeah, brother.
Well, thank you, Matt. Thank you, Al. Thank you, Ty. I appreciate it. Appreciate the opportunity. I don't know why the hell you guys want me on here, but let's do it.
I mean, at the opening when Ty brought that slide up that showed all those cool ass pictures of you, it says it all at the very end. Just a man. I'm just a man. So there you go. Man. That's your answer, right?
Yeah, it's been a journey.
Yeah, for sure, man. So I guess we'll get right into it. Because talking to Ty, I know that you're going to have a lot of good stories for our audience, not just, funny, grown up, all that, but, good stuff that people can take from this to use. And that's what we like to give out a lot on the show is advice and rants. That's what we do well. So what we try to do in the beginning for all of our guests, Marty's, we like to kind of let our audience get to know you a little bit. So if you don't mind, where are you from? Where'd you grow up?
Sure. Really quick overview. I was born in Tucson, raised for a quarter of my my first part of my life in Yuma. And then my family moved out to a little tiny border town called Somerton. So shout out to all the folks in Somerton. Has some great heroes that come out of there, some awesome veterans, great people. And then from there, Desert Storm happened, and dad and uncles and godfather all took off to Desert Storm. I felt left out. I felt I needed to serve, and I found myself sitting on top of a roof one day, and I said I need to join the military. So as soon as I graduated high school, and I took off and enlisted and took off in '93, and I've never returned. Actually, I came back to Arizona, but ended up in Phoenix, not back to Yuma. And then so I ended up Joining the military, I did a lot of tours in Germany. I started off with Bosnia when Bosnia kicked off, and that was a whole fiasco by itself. And we can get into some stories there about mine clearance. I did three tours there, and then moved over, and then I had tore my ACL, and I was high as a kite sitting in bed when the towers came down, and I packed my duffel bag, and from there we just kept deploying. I did 3 tours to Iraq and 2 tours to Afghanistan, and then I ended up my career in after my second tour in Afghanistan, I ended up back in Germany as an observer controller. So for you guys out there that don't know what that is, the Army specifically has teams of subject matter experts they send to training centers to overlook and train with units that are getting ready to deploy. So, my counterparts were engineers. So, I'm giving them our expertise and working on their SOPs and stuff. So I ended up my career there. And then from there, how I got into the scouting world.
So go ahead. Let's back the bus up like 2 feet.
Back it up.
Yeah, you went through a whole bunch of cool shit that I'm sure we could talk about a little bit. So you said you had a lot of family that was in the military, serving in various times. And so you said that's what influenced you. So when you're sitting on the roof, deciding you want to join the military in Arizona, were you working as a roofer or were you just sitting there?
Bro, he's Mexican. Of course he was working as a roofer.
That was racist or not.
He's Mexican. Of course he's working construction.
Listen, I asked the question. I did not ask him. Al makes the ass of himself.
The only job I had at the time was I was a DJ in high school. I was supposed to be a rapper.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, bro.
What was your rapper name?
I was MC Fresh.
Yeah.
And my DJ, my buddy, who's still DJing to this day in his 50s, man, God bless him. It was MC Fresh, Dog, and DJ Crazy K.
Yeah.
He was going to be your DJ. You were going to be dropping the beats, and you were going to be shouting them out on all your songs. Yeah, that's how that was back then, right?
Yeah, we did house parties, and
I feel like your rap style too would probably line up with what we grew up listening to, like real, like actual rap, not none of this mumble shit. So I listened to your demo.
Oh, I may have some questions later on for that.
My influence, was I had a very deep influence between DMX and Nas. At the time.
What's funny is I was playing DMX today on the way to the gas station to get some milk.
It's rough in Florida, bro. You got to be prepped to go get that milk in the gas station.
I was ready. I was ready to throw down. If some shit pop up at the gas station, I was ready to come out swinging. You know what I'm saying? Had DMX in my ear. Where the hood at? Where the hood at?
Yeah, I just took a nap to him today.
That's hilarious.
So you decided to join the Army, and I'm assuming when you told your family you were joining, they were happy you were doing it, following in the footsteps. So where did you go to basic?
So oddly enough, there wasn't really much, right? Being Hispanic, and it still happens today.
Yep.
Some cultural wise, sometimes we do it to improve our family life and to either at the time it was all college. If you guys remember, we're joining the military for college because there was no conflict at the time. So I joined just to better myself. And I was always an explorer. I knew I was going to leave. I knew I was going to be a soldier since I was like 5 years old. So at the time I joined and I ended up in Fort Leonard Wood, great state of, where my daughter, who's actually on right now, she's there with my son-in-law, who's a drill sergeant right now, stationed at Fort Leonard Wood. I ended up in Fort Leonard Wood, and from Fort Leonard Wood went straight to Germany, straight to Bosnia, and it never stopped.
So where were you at in Germany?
Baumholder for most of the time, and then there was a little town outside of Baumholder called Eder Oberstein. I ended up moving there, and then when I left and we came back, and so the main unit of engineers was you had a couple in Germany, and I don't know if you guys remember the BRAC. The BRAC is when they started closing bases all over the place. So our forces started closing, and I wasn't airborne, so I wasn't going to Vicenza at the time. So I just I got orders twice to Germany. And ended up in Baumholder both times, but it was a revolving door because Bosnia started. And my first tour ever out the gate was 12 months straight, nothing, just 12 months. And then I was back maybe a couple months, and then we went back to Bosnia for another, I think it was 10 months. And then I ended up in the States. I ended up at Fort Carson. And I was like, I got to get the hell away from this place, right? So we ended up at Fort Carson. No sooner we landed at Fort Carson, we back in Bosnia, come back from Bosnia, I ended up blowing my ACL in Bosnia coming on my way back. And there's Bob Motor, there's Joe Bogart. Hey, this guy right here, Ty, this guy is the one you have to have on.
Joe, hit us up, bro.
He's got that nice ass Olin Mills portrait in his thumbnail.
Email.
Yeah. So we ended up going to Baumholder, and then I came back, went to Fort Carson, went back to Bosnia, came back. That's when I blew my ACL, and I was high on Percocets when the plane came down, and then started deploying to Iraq. And then I did Iraq from, the engineer unit in Fort Carson at the time. And then we ended up going.
What did you do as an engineer?
So I was combat engineer. So I was 12 Bravo. So just like you guys are CBs, at the beginning of my career, combat engineering was your mobility and counter mobility. So we trained to drop the ramp, go into minefields, clear bridges, do route reconnaissance. It was all engineering type work, but the face of the war changed how engineers engineer, if you would. So sappers, if you would, our skill set is vast. So we got focused after Iraq started, move away from Bosnia where we were pulling mines out of the ground. I remember as a private, I got my first, big award, which was an ARCOM for my first tour in Iraq for pulling, well over 300 mines out of the ground by myself, but that was common for many, many soldiers to do.
Pretty good at that. You're like, dude, I practiced for a long time, I promise.
Yeah, you're just probing with that stupid little stick until you
get bro, the probe stick, bro.
Yeah. Now we got computers and robots that do it for you, but
the CBs had guys that would get in bulldozers and just drag the fucking bulldozer along the side of MSRs and shit, and fucking there's one, keep going. Like, what do you do? Like, enough for that. These damn equipment operators.
The blade's reinforced in the middle, dude. It's good to go. Don't worry about it.
Crazy.
Yeah, so and I've been around since the beginning of the mini flails where we took a cat. We took a regular Bobcat and we ripped the front off, took 55 gallon drums and welded a bunch of chains to it, and now it's a thing, right? I've already seen the transition to rats and goats, and the African forces coming down, and got to work with Russian forces for a small little second before they went back away, and then we shifted over to wartime, and then that's how we slowly became route clearance. And then so we went from route reconnaissance, if you would, to, surveying, to route clearance where we're actually physically looking for IEDs. And that became, the mainstay. And that was at the beginning with the very first Buffaloes and route clearance equipment with no AC in 140-degree weather. It's 200 inside and you don't know why your brain's fried, So, yes, sir.
Walk through the difference. So obviously you said you did a lot of the mine clearing in Bosnia, right? A lot. And then you went to do the IED stuff in over in Iraq. So walk us through the differences in those two, right? Two different places, two different setups, the way they worked. How did you guys do it in Bosnia? And did you guys learn anything from there that helped you there? Like, kind of walk us through, like you just said, the evolution of all that.
So I'll try to make this as brief as possible. There was a huge evolution. There's whole books, written on it where we were trained as engineers. So as an engineer coming in, and I don't know if they still tell 12 Bravos combat engineers this, but when I first came in as a combat engineer, our training from basic training, it was one unit station training, right? It's OSET. And as soon as we transitioned from the basic training part to the combat engineer part, your drill sergeant's like, hey, sappers, you need to train hard because you're only going to have 12 seconds to live as soon as your ass hits the battlefield. So that's how we trained. We trained knowing that we were going to die within 12 seconds to 30 seconds of hitting the battlefield. And you never wanted to be the grappling hook guy, right? Because I'm Batman. And you go out there and you're looking for mine. And that's the mindset, right? So the dark humor started early. And what that did for us is it instills in you that spidey sense, like, I think there's a mine there. I think there's a mine there. So then you start building on that. So that went from mines, right? So we're going up clearing minefields, doing like that. We also did in-stride breaches, which, thank God I never had to do. But you did in-stride breaches, which were, hey, we're in the middle of a firefight. All you got is a little bit of smoke going on, and here's a PFC running down the middle with a piece of deck cord and a rail across his back and 2 sticks of C4, just screaming, hey, I'm putting blocks of C4 down by mines, and hopefully you make it. You pop the minefield, and then the task force goes through. So now you shift over into IEDs. If you guys remember, the IEDs that first started showing up were very back. We weren't hearing about EFPs or anything like that. So we learned on the fly. We learned from the schoolhouse. The very first IDs were like guys on 10 speeds, a 105 round that barely popped, and they evolved very quickly, like cell phones, if you would. And then we started seeing cell phones and, pressure plates and all this other stuff. And then Iraq and Afghanistan were two different animals as far as your IEDs go. And then Iraq later on in the war, that's when we started seeing those nasty EFPs that had PIR sensors. So all that happens is while this is happening, we have command centers that were taking all this data. There's always mine action centers. So in Bosnia, you had a mine action center to tell you where all the mines were at and the analysis for that. And then you shift over to wartime, then you have analysis for IEDs, and you have all these other companies, civilian companies, that are processing that data in order to put that back to the warfighter. So, you go from PFC to E4 in a matter of a year in one deployment, and come back, you're already at the schoolhouse in Fort Leonard Wood, getting taught the next best thing or the next greatest thing on the battlefield, and then you're getting sent back out. Combat engineers and infantry in the Army, there was no rest for the wicked. We weren't getting out, and this is before stop loss. So you're getting pushed out. You're getting pushed out as fast as you came back. I remember my first deployment. It was 15 months, guys. My first deployment to Iraq was 15 months. I talked to my wife for a total of maybe 30 minutes on a sat phone, one sat phone for a whole entire battalion that was getting escorted around. So I came back from that 15-month deployment. I got to meet my child for the first time. She was born literally a week before I pushed out, and 15 months without her, and I got to meet my first child. And a couple months later, I think 6 months later, they were like, your asses are going back out. And we did another year. And then we did 3 one-year tours. And then after that, you're like, well, I'm going to go be a drill. But, Matt, I think you want me to slow down again, don't you?
No, you're good.
No, you're good, bro.
No, that's good. So it's just interesting to see how they both go, right? Because, two different styles, or two different, I guess you'd say, ideologies between the two. So for you, did you operate heavy equipment? Like, what was your role as a combat engineer? What did you specialize in? What were you known for?
Sure. So for us, Matt, the combat engineer, the engineer world, as you would, we have, and I'm going to mess this up. I think there's 100. There used to be 120 jobs underneath the Corps of Engineers at one point, but sappers themselves are the jack of all trades, master of none, right? And then we have heavy junk. We have vertical and horizontal engineers. So that's a big difference between the other forces. Is I wasn't a heavy equipment operator. Can I operate it? Yeah, because I can, right? And we would jump on it if we need to, but we didn't deploy with heavy junk, which we call heavy junk. And then we weren't horizontal or vertical engineers, which are your building, your all your specialty trades. Combat engineers are, we like to say we're the infantry with demo. So we were, when I first started as combat engineer, and other combat engineers are on here right now, is that we started off, so you had a squad, and your squad would split off into 2 teams. And every infantry company that came out in your brigade task force, you had infantry companies, and they would assign a team of sappers to every single squad in the infantry or platoon at the time. So you would just deploy with them, and you were the subject matter expert. You would be normally a E5, and anything below E5, E1 to E4 was underneath them. And that was the team that belonged to the infantry. So you were the demo expert at all times. And then, of course, we've evolved from there. We kind of pulled away. And then the engineer companies, and starting in Iraq, became their own animal. They became their own team, if you would, their own strike force. So we were doing route clearance, and it was a main emphasis to start doing route clearance because so many people were getting blown up. So we're like, that's us. We'll go do it. And then you couldn't you couldn't consume your EOD assets because there was so little of them. So what did they do? They just took a bunch of us knuckleheads and said, hey, you guys go look for mines, right? Yeah, go look for IEDs. And I'm making this very small, right? There's more science to it. So we pushed out, and we just started getting blown up and started to figure out how to protect ourselves. And I know myself, I'm not the one that's been blown up the most, but I've been blown up well more over than 40 times already. And, and
goodness.
So there's nothing wrong with this guy.
Not at all. Like every time it made you better, like you got another superpower every time it happened.
Just the ringing. I just went for that appointment today.
Oh, where you had to hit the buttons?
No, I can't even do that anymore, man. My tinnitus is so bad. They put bone induction stuff in the back of my head. I have hearing aids that I rarely wear that my family wish I would wear, but 24/7.
Don't wear them. You'll be like, what? Huh?
Yeah.
Sorry,
Well, they have Bluetooth. I can listen to my phone in them. I can plug into the TV. They're pretty cool.
Your story is cool because it like with me and Matt with our background, I like hearing about the Army because I worked with Corps of Engineer guys and I worked with Army combat engineers, and you guys are so interchangeable. There's so much that you guys can do, and I enjoyed my time like when we got to work with you guys because you guys, like I said, you guys are jack of all trades. Like you guys do it all. It's pretty impressive. That's kind of like the CB mantra. Like we got guys that do everything and like I don't know how much you guys got farmed out, but I know we got fucked all the time. We would come off of a route doing route reconnaissance or doing whatever the mission was, and then they'd farm us out and be like, all right, now you guys are doing fucking security. Now you're doing convoy security, like 18 hours of convoy security after a 15-hour route reconnaissance or patrol. So you guys are so interchangeable, man. The combat engineers are very, in your history, you haven't even touched on, I'm sure Ty could touch on it because he's a history nerd. He's a nerd. But the history of the combat engineers is pretty impressive. The background behind those engineers.
Some pretty famous guys out there, right? You have Mel Brooks. You got Mel Brooks, who's a combat engineer. You got Mystical. Remember Mystical?
Oh yeah,
Desert Storm, and I'm still friends with his scout leader during Desert Storm. Who that guy works for? That guy works for DARPA right now. But our world is big and small at the same time. And then
we had Mystical come into a recruiting office one time. Remember that, Matt? Manny Ortiz had Mystical come in and hang out at the recruiting office. Like, what the fuck?
Hey, nobody joined that day. I think they couldn't post clean.
Everybody was just chilling.
Yeah, everybody was just chilling.
Yeah. Well, in the New Orleans and Baton Rouge, Louisiana area, nobody gives a shit about joining. They're like, oh, he's there. I could get a picture taken. That's the only thing they did. But I tell you, they probably told him we interviewed 300 people today. Like,
so, Marty, I know you had a ton of options, obviously, but what made you go combat engineer side?
So I didn't have a ton of options. So I first
damn.
Let me back up.
I could be a cook or I could be an engineer, and I was like, "Fuck it, engineer it is."
I started really high on my ASVAB the first time, and I actually came in. So I was still struck about my family leaving the Desert Storm that I wanted to serve. Yeah. So I went and preemptively joined the National Guard for Arizona when I first joined, and I actually joined what Ty was. I was a 31 uniform at the time, which was Camo. Again, just in the Camo world, jack of all trades for Camo. And I know my first meeting that I went to, and I call it meeting, I don't even know what to call them in the National Guard, but the first time I went, I looked around
drill weekend.
I hated it, right? I was like, this ain't for me. So I was like, this sucks. I need to go. So, I walk into my S1 office, they're like, hey man, I need to get out of here. This ain't for me. And he's like, well, you owe us 6 months because of state so-and-so, you owe 6 months to the state. So I stayed the 6 months, and then at the 6.5 month mark, I walked in and I was like, hey dude, I need to go. I want to be gone by this weekend. Here's my AVFAS score. I'm already a 31 uniform. And the recruiter got me. He's like, oh, well, you need to retake your ASVAB again. So I scored lower. And he's like, and there was 6 months. So imagine I had a 131 at the time. And then 6 months later, I had a 108. So I did a lot of drinking in those 6 months from basic training. And so it came back and he's like, well, you scored low on your ASVAB, so you can't have this MOS. And I was just like, okay, so what can I do? And he's like, you can be a mechanic. You can be it was what essentially was a hospital cook, which I should have took. And then combat engineer. And I was like, well, what's combat engineer? He's like, oh, it's engineering. You get to survey and you get to drive, get tractors,
build stuff.
And then every once in a while you get to blow stuff up. And I was like,
got you.
A tractor surveying. I'm going to be the guy in the middle of the street going like this with the stick. I'm in, I have a job on the way out. So I did put a little bit of thought into it. I was like, maybe I'll do my little 3 years, come home, and I'll be a construction guy. So that's what got me into it was my options. That Mr. Meeks is his name, Staff Sergeant Meeks.
The worst thing that they do for anybody that's going to join is like you score really good on the ASVAB, and a lot of times kids want to get a certain job, right? It's like, oh, I'm going to go retake it. Why can't they just let you keep the highest of all the scores?
Bro.
I used to be like, just let them keep the higher score, man.
I don't care. I scored a 50. I got a 51 AFQT. So like anything over a 50 is considered upper middle group for any candidates. So I got a 51. I thought I was like the man. I was like, I'm about to be a nuclear engineer in this bitch. And they offered me the same thing. They were like, you could be a machinist mate. You could be all these ship jobs, cook, bosun's mate. So my dad had served, and I called my dad from MEPS and was like, hey. He's like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm in Atlanta at the MEPS. He's like, what the fuck are you doing there? I'm like, I'm joining the Navy, bro. Like, I need you to tell me what job to pick. And so I gave him all these jobs, and I was like, there's this one called a CB. And all my dad said was, do that. Those guys don't do shit. They drink, they build shit, they fight. Like, it's the best job ever. Like, you won't even do shit. Little did we know. Bro, little did we know Iraq was going to pop off. Like 9/11 is going to happen. So I was like, yeah, sign me up for that CB shit. That's just no, I don't get. You don't get on boats. I'm like, no ships for me. I'm like, oh fuck yeah, bet. Let's sign up. And then fucking Iraq happens, and here we go, deployed 57 times. But yeah,
you volunteered to be a part-time Marine.
Yeah, then I volunteered to be a freaking CB Sapper part-time Marine with their CERT program. But yeah, bro, it was the same kind of thing. Like, they didn't offer me shit. Like, I was like, what? You could go be a cook. Like, bro, I ain't scrambling eggs for the rest of my life. So you selected combat engineer, and then you went to school, right? And then obviously you loved it because you stayed in for 21 years. What like made you stay in? Because I know you mentioned like you were going to get out after 3 and do a civilian career. What kept you in? And don't tell me you had to start having kids. Like, you started having babies, you stayed in.
So no, Bosnia was a pretty spiritual turning point for me. We spent. You get to go to this country, and being a typical American and not knowing geography and not knowing, histories of other parts of the world, you're standing there. So I have many points of enlightenment that I talked to Ty about them, where I've had key points in my life where I'm the type of person that believes that I am where I'm at because I need to be there. Like, someone put me here at this point, at this time, I'm there. So my very first point of enlightenment was standing on the Danube. And I'm standing there, and we took a picture. Back then, it was the type, and we called ourselves the Four Lions.
For you young motherfuckers watching the show, that's a camera where you had to wind this bitch up, had a flash on it. You had to wind it up.
You had a piece of glass.
Yeah, you had to click. Like, it was not instant.
You had to take that shit to a store and have somebody
take
the picture.
Take that shit to Walgreens and go back a week later and pick up your photos. Like, shit was crazy for you young people out here.
Yeah, and we had a digital camera in the battalion, and it took a 1/4-inch floppy and took 2 pictures per 1/4-inch floppy, and we thought that was amazing.
I remember thinking that was cool.
Ty's like, yeah.
You had to hold it. You had to hold it. It was like, you're like, this thing is fast, and it took like 30
had
seconds.
Big ass 3.5-inch or hard disk. It had a hard disk.
Panasonic.
Yeah, had to sign it out for fucking as a sensitive item.
So I'm standing on the Danube, and my LT at the time, Curtis Brooks, was saying, there's like, hey, Ramon, did you ever think you'd be standing on the Danube? And I was like, break it down for me, sir. I don't know where I'm at. And he broke down the history of the Danube and all the wars. And, I listened to him a lot. He had a lot of insight, a young man from Wyoming. He had a lot of insight on history. And I'm standing there, and that's when it hit me. I was like, when did a kid from the middle of Yuma, the middle of the desert, was going to find himself here? So when we got back after that 15-month deployment, of course, I was pissed off. I hated my squad leader, whatever, because he said it was only going to be 4 months. And and I found myself, like we all do, in a brotherhood type environment where, like, this guy re-upped. I just made E4 for the first time out of 4. So I was like, I got to stay. I love Germany. I love being here. I'm having fun. The family's supporting me back home, not married yet. So I deployed the second time, and it started to be, I'm here for my brothers, right? Yeah. In the beginning, I'm here for my brothers, right? And it's the bond that every veteran talks about, right? We're not there for the country. We're not there for America. We're there for each other, right? Every veteran will tell you that story. At one point, it stops being about America. It's there because I can't leave my battle buddy. I can't leave this guy because he's a little slow, right? This kid from Michigan is dumb as hell, and I can't leave him. He's going to get blown up. So I got to make sure he knows everything. I got to take care of him. And then as you become a non-commissioned officer, it starts to be, I got to be here for my men. I got to be here for this. And then it just transitioned, that turned into 5 years, and that turned into 7 years. And, you know, you get married the first time, you're like, well, shit, I don't have a job, you know, on the outside. This is all I know how to do. You know, I was like, what the hell am I supposed to do? And this is no kids. This is sans kids, right? So you're sticking to it just like you do in every other military. I didn't go out and buy a new car, so it wasn't because of that. At the time, you couldn't have a car in Europe. And then I came home, and right before 9/11, it did turn into a family thing, right? So if like, well, man, if I do one more tour, I don't know how bad Iraq is going to be. So I got married and ended up leaving, and you know, thank goodness she decided to stay with me. And you know, we're about to celebrate 25 years of marriage. I think she's crazy for staying with me that long.
Bro. Hey, me too. This year will be 25. May will be 25 for me.
That's
awesome.
Service? That includes the break-in service when I went into the reserves. It's a long story, but I went into the the reserves for a short break, had a little break-in service, and came back into on active duty. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah,
that includes the break-in service, Matt.
Oh, there
to
you
do
go.
what we have done.
I got a quick question for you though.
Yeah, fired up.
I heard something, and I want to ask because if it's what I think it is, it'd be a cool story. So I heard you say I made E4 for the first time. Did you make E4 more than once?
Oh yes, sir. I was a combat engineer, baby. Every Friday night with my $300 paycheck, we'd go downtown, flashing, tear it up in the club.
Yeah.
Get teeth broken in and drag your battle buddy home, and then you're the team leader as an E3, and you make E4, and your buddy gets stabbed, and next thing you know is like, hey, Martinez, why in the hell, blah, blah, blah. It was me, Top. I did it.
Yeah.
I got you.
Man, shit.
You take the hit.
Not anymore, bro. They're like, he did that shit. I didn't do it.
So, and if you got caught, because what was the standard in the military for Monday mornings after a big weekend? Platoon sergeant come out. I don't know if you guys did it like us. We had formations every single morning. Platoon sergeant come out and go, yep, smells like a run today. And you hit it. You did 5
Or they'd come out and be like, all right, everybody's on the piss test list. You're like, fuck, everybody's getting piss test.
You don't know how many people like you could instantly tell.
Oh, you knew, bro. You knew.
Yeah. You were like, oh yeah, these dudes are about to go home. 100%.
And then I don't know if you
walked around.
Well,
they were like scratching. They're like, they're gonna buy someone's piss.
Oh, dude, I don't know if the Army did it, Matt. But we did, and we did it, Matt. We'd have open captain's mass. We'd have the whole battalion out, and they would prance people up in front of the freaking commanding officer and be like, "Production and rate 45-45." Like you're like, dude. Oh shit!
It's funny. One of those stories. We were in Puerto Rico on deployment, and we had guys working in Villegas, and they were like maintaining roads on all the bomb sites and all that shit. Well, I guess in Villegas it was easy to get weed. Go figure. But they didn't just do weed. I think they did cocaine too, and they had to come back and get like a bulldozer or something.
Look at sugar
that they were going to put onto a barge and take it back over. Dude, these guys walked in like they had just got off the ferry. Dude, they're like, "Oh, you guys are here. You got to go piss, dude." The look on their face, and then they did open mass for them. And back then, the CMC and the skipper, they would ask these dudes, "What in the are you thinking?" And they're just sitting there looking at you, and everybody's watching this. See, you would think that it would have deterred it. Nah, it didn't.
And we would humiliate people, Marty. We would take people who got put on restriction and make them wear bright red hard hats. Yeah, everywhere they went. So they had a combat engineer. Their engineering hard hat would be bright red with a big red badge of courage, like restricted on it. They had to march all over the base, like they could march to the exchange, march to the chow hall. You were like, damn, bro, I don't ever want to go on restriction because these dudes, like, they're doing extra duty and they're wearing these bright red hard hats. Thank God I never got caught. Ever got caught and never had to do that. Thank the heavens above.
I think Matt, I was at E4 4 times.
Yes, E4 Mafia, bro. You're like the godfather of the E4 Mafia.
I was at E5 twice, and staff sergeant, first class. Of course, I kept my composure because I was during the Iraq War. Gotcha. But I think most of the time when I got busted for E4, I was taken up for somebody else, and that's part of the brotherhood, right? And then for us, you guys sounded like you guys, because you went back on ships or whatever, it was more controlled for us. I mean, I remember our platoon sergeants, man, at the time, our platoon sergeants were like 40 and 38, where now you have platoon sergeant, sergeant first classes that are making 7 and 7 and 8 and 11, right?
Yeah.
So these guys are in their 20s. At my time, I had a crusty ass. I remember Angel Belen, right? The guy from Puerto Rico. I love this guy. You know, came from Fort Bragg down to a mech unit and called us all pogues because we didn't jump out of airplanes. And, you know, the second time I got busted, I remember him pulling me to the side and going, "Why the hell did you get caught, pendejo? You know, what did you do?" And I'm like, you know, "Hey, boss, it's this, and this." And he's like, "Well, we got a rotation coming up to Hohenfels, you know, and I can't lose you. So what are we going to do?" I was like, "Man, bust me down. Put corporal chevrons on me. I don't care. We'll rock and roll." So that's what ended up happening. I had a lot of, I don't know if you guys had them, but we had suspended busts.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
So my last time I was at E5, I had a suspended bust. The first time I didn't make it, I made it down to corporal. I think I was in E5 for a month. At the time, you would go to the board, and then you still had to wait for your number to hit. So my number never hit, and then I got in trouble.
You were not. You were promoted,
Selected.
but not paid yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were promoted.
What's interesting though, you know, CBs don't go on ships. We're always on land. Like we don't go to the boat, so there's no controlled environment for us. So we're just like you guys. When we're out we would deploy pre 9/11, and we would go to all these places. We're in the city, like we're not like got to be back, but we had no curfews. We used to make fun of all the fleet sailors in the bars.
Ship guys would pull into like port when I was in Guam. They'd pull in.
You got like E6s,
and they had to leave. They were like, "Bro, we gotta be back. Yeah, we gotta be back on the ship at fucking 5 o'clock." And we're like, "Peace out, bro. We're here, dude.
Like,
we're not close. We're closing this bitch down. Like, I got PT in the morning. I'm gonna be drunk at 3.
I will tell you this though. I'll tell you this, going back to what you just said about having that older leadership when we first got in, when I first joined the Navy was the point in time where you would see guys coming back that probably got into trouble or probably did something stupid, and you wanted to get in trouble versus letting your chief take care of it. You know what I mean? And back then it was like, you know, they were like, I think to them it was like, yeah, we did all this dumb shit too, right? So like we get it, and if it wasn't erroneous, like they would take care of it.
Yeah,
but if Chief was ever like, "I'll see you on like Monday," you're like, "Oh, fuck, dude."
Yeah, pre 9/11 was a different world, and it's funny because I heard Marty mention he remembered right where he was at, popping perks on 9/11. Like everybody that was around during 9/11, we all remember exactly where we were at. But pre 9/11, like I mean, I would if I showed up late to freaking duty section or something crazy, like somebody would just whoop my ass. Like they'd be like, "Come over here," and you'd go in the Connex box, tote an ass whooping, and then go back to work. Like nobody really was trying to burn you and bust you down. Like you had to do some egregious shit to like go see the man. Like you just toted an ass whooping or did some dirty ass latrine duties or some bullshit work that nobody wanted to do. You were cleaning block weapons in the armory for freaking 2 weeks straight. And you're like, "I'm never doing that again." Like,
and then like 2 weeks later, you're like, "Yeah, I'll go do it. Fuck it. Let's go."
Smell like my body smells like CLP. You can't wash that stench off. And you're like,
light coat of CLP.
Yeah, bro. Your whole body stunk like CLP. Girls are like, "You stink." Dude. I'm like, "Girl, that's the freedom you're smelling on me right now."
So the face of war changed that, right? Before we had that time to go back, and all you were training for, I know for us specifically, we were only training for the one combined arm exercise at the end of the year or the end of the fiscal year before October. So we were either if you were in the States, you were going to the National Training Center in California. If you were in Germany, you were going to Hohenfels, right? And if you're in Korea, you're going to wherever the hell the ones in Korea go to. But you were only training for that. But the face of war changed that. So, you know, we rapidly changed. We went from uniform changes to not shining our boots, not pressing our uniforms because we were having to be combat ready. You didn't have time for that shit anymore. Yep. So then when you moved on to combat and we were constantly in combat, when you came back home, your command just wanted you to go relax. Like, "Hey, we're going to train guys, but we know we're going to have to leave in 6 to 8 months. So go enjoy your family. You know, I'm going to enjoy mine." And so you didn't have that, "Hey, all 12 of us are going out drinking to the club tonight." So that whole tight camaraderie turned into individual leadership, right? And you had great leaders that came out of it. There's some leaders that could lead like that, and they only saw you during work. But most of us, especially if you were stationed overseas or anywhere else, you know, you were off work and you went into the barracks, right? And that's a time of, you know, Nintendos were still big and PlayStations were coming out. So then you started hanging out in your barracks rooms, and all that ended, right? I don't know what they do now. They live in apartment style barracks now, and
they all sit in their bed in front of their TV with their headset on and play video games with everybody in the quad and talk on the headset instead of sitting in the same room and doing it and playing Madden and talking shit to your friend, telling him he sucks at the game and he'll never be good. He throws it across the room and breaks the controller. Good thing we've got 3 more in the drawer, you know?
Yeah. So the you going out and saying, hey, you know, Sunday, you need to all be back in the barracks to start cleaning, mopping it. So we would go out Friday night and we would get on these trains they would cut off at midnight, and you had to figure it out. Like no one was coming to get you. So your training had already started. So you're across Europe on the other side, and you'd be like, man, I got to get back to bomb holder in the next 4 hours. And it takes 7 hours to get there. And then we did it. I don't know how we did it, but we did it.
Bro, if you missed that Liberty bus, bro, you were because you better hope you can get a taxi cab, or you're gonna be footing it. You're gonna be marching all the way back to the freaking to Naz 1 in Italy. Like it was crazy.
Yeah,
hell yeah, man.
So I want to talk a little. So we talked a lot about your military service. Very impressive, and thank you for coming on the show again. But I want to talk a little bit to you, and I know Matt may be transitioning into this, but you started talking about it earlier, and I really am interested because, you know, growing up, I was a Boy Scout, and that was like the thing to be back in the day. So start talking to us about your scouting background, because that's pretty impressive. Sure. And I mean, you're doing a lot for kids. And then I have some controversial questions I want to ask regarding where the future of scouting is.
I am here as a paid employee to answer those questions.
Yeah.
Let me back up a little bit before, because it's a big part of scouting. So like most of us, after getting blown up well over 40 times and getting shot at, so many ticks with firefights, and having to bury so many of your soldiers, and you physically putting them on the bird and you holding them and watching them die, that affects you, right? Because as a combat engineer, you just got to roll, right? And the Army goes rolling along. You just got to keep rolling with it, and you got to train your leaders to be that guy that rolls, and you got to keep going. You got to keep going. And now we have the issues we have now, right? We're moving forward in VA and mental issues and what have you. When I became a drill sergeant right after that, I remember being told, hey, you're going to be a drill sergeant. This is your break. So listen to my words. You're going to be a drill sergeant. This is your break. And my break was getting up at 3:30 in the morning. Mind you, I'm full PTSD, right? I'm full whack job. I'm like, family can't stand me. I don't know why my wife hasn't left me yet. Kids don't even know my name. I don't even know their names. Days or months or weeks or years. So you go into being a drill sergeant, you're waking up at 3:30 in the morning, you're starting to dust them off, and you get them for 9 weeks and push them out. You get 1 weekend, you keep doing that for 2.5 years straight. And I can tell you that was the first time I found relief, because at 4:30 in the morning, and I got good friends on here right now, I'll tell you the same thing. I got to scream at the top of my lungs from 4:30 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night. And that was like the first exhale of pressure, right? That was the first exhale of pressure. And then, you take a step back, and I ended up deploying a few more times. So now I'm like at the end of my rope, right? I've already done a tour with Ty, and then, I end up doing another tour and then come back, and I was like, I'm done, man. I am done. And then my sergeant major at the time had a conversation with my wife. She was the FRG leader for a short time. And he's like, hey, what does Marty want? And she's like, he's done, sergeant major. He wants to get out. And she's like, well, you know what? He needs to dump his knowledge. We need to send him to a training center. So I'm still in Afghanistan while she's having this conversation with me. She's like, hey, sergeant major says he can get you into a training center. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to California. It's like, no, I am done. I'm not going to NTC. And she's like, no, she said he can get you into Hohenfels in Germany. And I was like, oh, we're going back to Germany? Hell yeah, I'll take that. And so we ended up in Germany, ended up being the best assignment. I love being a drill sergeant, love being an observer controller even better. It was the good capstone to my career. So I'm standing there, I'm full war painted up, and Hohenfels is a small little base in the middle of nowhere, really, if you would imagine it. So you're done with training and you get to come home. The units stay out in the field. You get to come home. So, hey, can you pick the kids up at basketball practice or whatever? So we're standing there. We're at the bowling alley, and my son walks in, and he's like, Dad, this is my friend. And he's in Cub Scout uniform, and they're having a meeting tonight. I want to be a Cub Scout. And I'm like, hell yeah, let's do it, right? So we go over there. I go into this meeting, and there's 4 other guys there. And mind you, we're pulling up in Humvees to a scout event, and there's like 7 little boys there, right? And you're
As
a full
you should.
kid off, and the Cub Master's there. So he's like, hey man, welcome, blah, blah, blah. This is this. And the dads go off and we just kick it. And then the kids go off and my son's having a blast. And I was like, hey, this is something he wants to do. And the dad turns, the Cub Master turns to me. He's like, hey, so you want to help us out? Because there's only like 4 of us and we need a new den leader. And I was like, well, what's he do? And he hands me, and I have it on my Facebook if you go back far enough, he hands me the Wolf Den Leader Guide. And I'm like, I opened it up and it's all ELOs and TL, training, learning objectives. And
yep.
You just like if you're at schoolhouse. So
EOs
like,
and TOs. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, this shit is easy, right? I was like, I'm training sappers. So instantly kick back in a drill sergeant mode. I was like, hold on. I get to influence young little minds again to be sappers. And I was like, this is a job for me, right? And the Superman shirt came out and this is for me. So we start training them and, I'm going through it, and second meeting I'm in, I was like, this is amazing. Like I can be a drill sergeant, but extra funny. I don't have to curse at them. I can't curse at them. And I get to dump this second phase of knowledge. And at that time, gentlemen, I was already considering, I was dropping my packet, right? So I had nothing left to do. So I was like, I need to find something to consume my time. So my son is the one that got me into scouting. I was never a scout as a kid. And he loved it. So immediately we ended up doing all our scouting stuff, and we ended up going to all these places. We ended up in Switzerland. We ended up Belgium. We did Normandy. We did Bastogne. We did, they're going to trips to Croatia, and we're just Switzerland. We're going everywhere as scouts. And I was like, this is awesome. Like, who doesn't love this? And I get to train kids. And then he gets ready to move over into from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts, right? So he does what we call the Arrow of Light ceremony. Well, gentlemen, we got to do his Arrow of Light ceremony on Normandy, on Omaha.
Oh.
So, and my son is huge into that. Like, he's a typical Hispanic kid right now, and you would never believe him. He's like, yeah, I've been to Normandy like 4 times already, 3 times. So he crossed over from Cub Scouts into Boy Scouts, was honored right there. And then I was tapped out for a ceremony that's inside the organization for other things. So, having gone to Normandy 3 or 4 times, and I was immersed, and you're doing the cemetery, and you're listening to World War II vets talk to you on Normandy, right? And you're placing flags, or you're going to Verdun, which is the largest American cemetery for World War I outside of the United States, and people don't go there. And it's well manicured, it's well taken care of. But you go to Verdun, France, and you put flags on World War I vet cemeteries. So scouting was just like, this is the military. This is like, it's like drill and ceremony times 1,000 without the violence, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, we're pushing and pushing and pushing, and, I end up getting out. So I end up staying, and I was, Al, I was telling you earlier that I became a simulations officer as a civilian. So I got out of the military and went into government service. But the fluke was that I was looking for jobs because I wanted to hang out in Germany. So I'm going to go work at the PX, or I'm going to go work at the gas station. And I was like, well, let me check out Raytheon, see what they're doing. And, I went for an interview at Raytheon. So then I go to my son's Cub Scout meeting, and the Cub Master's like, hey, dude, why are you applying for Raytheon? And I'm like, well, I just wanted a job. I want to stay here. And he's like, you don't know who I am? And I've known this guy we're going on 1.5 years now, right? I didn't know he was a lieutenant colonel. I didn't know he was the head simulation officer guy there. And he's like, dude, you're going to work for me. Don't worry about it. If you want to stay here, I need you to be the Cub Master because I'm going to leave. So I'm going to hire you and you're going to get this job. And I was like, oh, holy smoke. All right. And I thought it was contracting, right? So next thing I know, I'm doing simulations, and that's all the computer systems. And I ended up getting really immersed in that. And I ended up getting flown to DC to become an actual simulations officer for the Army, or for the military, if you would, for the government. And then I ended up flying back and staying there with a group of really good friends. So we ended up staying there, and we transitioned into Boy Scouts there. So again, my son, I want to push him to make Eagle. Right. So, now I'm just an assistant scoutmaster. Well, the whole transition, and I think this is what you're going to get into, Al, is that whole thing that's happening back in the US right now at that time was the lawsuit, the churches were leaving the organization and all that. And I was ignorant to the fact of what was happening because in Europe, we're kind of in our own little cluster. So it wasn't in our face. We just knew what was happening. But we were military members with military children. So in the Transatlantic Council is all your Scouting America groups overseas, and 95% of them are on military bases, right? So it's all military brats being taught by military, active duty and retired military, or all your scoutmasters, your assistant scoutmasters, your den leaders, all military on military bases. So, it's a perfect storm. It's a perfect world. And they asked me and a couple other guys, one of my son's scoutmasters, like, hey, my daughter wants to be a scout. And at the time, we're still Boy Scouts. She wants to be in Boy Scouts. So the Transatlantic Council stood up the first set of female troops, if you would. And we called them whatever the number was. It was like 303B, which was boy, and 303G, which was girls. So we ended up starting the 303G, and I had 7, and I want to say out of the 7, 6 of them or 5 of them made Eagle Scout, to include the Scoutmaster's daughter, who was already a gold star in the Girl Scouts of America. And, so that was a proud moment for me. I helped stand up one of the first female troops in Europe. So now my son makes Eagle, and guess where he gets his Eagle at? Back on Normandy, right? So my son is officially a Normandy Eagle. I like to brag about that. And I have Normandy dirt right here, from those days. So we fly back to the US, and I'm like hands off. I'm like, boy, you're an Eagle Scout. We can keep doing this. And we end up calling a few units here. So shopping around, if you will. Imagine if you can do that in the military. I don't like that one. I'm going to go to this one.
I know, right?
We stop at the very first one. And a older gentleman walks out, and that gentleman is actually the state commander for Arizona for the American Legion, Mr. Gary Vaughn. So I walk into, our first troop meeting in the US, and he was like, "You're my next Scoutmaster." And I'm like, what? So the troop that I end up taking over is Troop 1776, started by
great troop number, by the way.
Best troop number ever.
Best troop number ever, started by a Marine. What do you expect? So we took over, and then my good friend, Mr. Sullivan, is actually the Scoutmaster right now. I had to step down because of being a Ranger. So I ended up taking over that troop, instilled some discipline. We ended up, through all of us, we ended up growing that troop more, and we're sponsored by the American Legion. So to give a little bit of the spiciness that's going on, when that decree was put out by our Secretary of War, Defense, whatever you want to call them, it hurt. It hurt because there's so many units out there. Like, I can bring you to my camp right now and have troops there, and I will point out 40 veterans that are doing the same thing I am. We find our place within the scouting organization to train units, to train troops. It doesn't matter if they're male or female. You're training the future leaders of America, and you're instilling Americanism in them. That's your goal in life, right? Is to make good citizens, Al.
Yeah.
Making good ones better, right?
Yeah, bro.
So your goal in life is to make good citizens, good American citizens, and we have to remain apolitical. Doesn't matter what's going on. So sans all the discussion about LGBTQ plus 3946, all that other stuff. It doesn't matter who's in front of me. What can I do to train that young person, and can I put them back out in the workforce to be great Americans?
That was that was going to be my question, and you answered it beautifully. I appreciate it. No, that was going to be what I was going to ask you is what that change looked like, and how did it affect the way you led and the way you developed and trained the scouts that were under you. So no, great answer.
It was rough. It was rough. So a lot of people left. So to give you an example, and this is a roundabout answer, you can Google it. At one point prior to the lawsuit, Arizona itself had something like 53,000 active scouts and scouters. So a scouter is an adult above the age of 18. A scout is a scout, right? 53,000. Right now we're sitting at 5 for the entire state. So we lost a lot of people, but the ones that did decide to stay, and we did it for the youth. We're in it because we want the youth to be better people. And the youth right now, and I call it the future millennial or the future generation right now, is hungry, right? Because their parents, the millennials, unfortunately were caught in that web of being coddled after 9/11, and we didn't teach them enough because our parents were gone. We were afraid. You've read these stories 1,000 times. And then they produce children that are the children now, the teenagers now, and they're hungry. I can't even explain to you how hungry they are right now for learning the ropes, for learning hands-on experience, for getting out there, for making their society better. They are just every turn, man. It's like, as a leader, if you've ever wanted to lead, it is the perfect storm where you can sit there and teach the future generation. If you have faith, if you are losing your faith that the youth is not going to be great, right now the American Legion has a thing called the Oratorical. And it just started this week. And I know in Arizona it started this week. And it's youth competing for scholarships. And it's all about the Constitution. Look it up on YouTube. It's called Oratorical. And it's these kids, it's 13-year-olds pitching the Constitution, and explaining to what it means to them. So if you are losing faith in America, look that up. The American Legion does great work at promoting these kids. And there's other internal programs for youth besides scouting. But also to, get on the soapbox a little bit more. There's a lot of VFWs and American Legions that started dying out. There was a lot of, flux of old guys, new guys. So what a lot of these commanders started doing is started sponsoring troops. So now you have that group of veterans that can turn around and be scout leaders, and they can drop their knowledge. Of course, they don't have to curse, but they can drop their knowledge, and they're like, this is pretty cool. I'm going to help this kid out. So now what better? You're out of your shell. You're not the PTSD infused guy that's sitting at home pissed off because you don't know what to do with your life anymore. And then you find the purpose, and the purpose is always to lead, right? Once we're in the military, we always become leaders, and we lead from the front at all times. So you get back out there, and then it's joyous because I don't have to put a weapon in that kid's hand. I don't have to teach him combatives, but I do have to teach him how to navigate. I do have to teach them how to do first aid. I do have to teach them how to do wilderness first aid. I do have to teach them how to conduct themselves. I'm teaching them everything you taught a soldier that you wish you taught your soldiers without the combative side.
Nice.
End of statement.
I love that. That's awesome. See, that's why you come to us, everybody that's listening on Thursday nights, because you're not going to hear that shit in the news. I'll tell you that right now. So that makes me feel good that there's hope out there and that kids are thirsty for that knowledge. I've seen I'm glad you said that. I feel like my son's age group is like that. He's 22, and there's a lot of that, like just trying to learn and trying to lean in, and they ask a lot of questions and want to know a lot of things, and it's just a constant learning atmosphere, right? It's almost like that soldier that asks you 30 questions just because they're new, and you're like, oh my God, dude, can you just go do it, right? But when you don't have that anymore, you wish you had it. You know what I mean? And so I'm glad to hear that that's what's going on. That's amazing.
Question.
I was gonna ask this real quick, just for me. I know that there's boys and girls in the Girl Scouts. Has there ever been anything that you guys seen why girls wanted to get away from the Girl Scouts and go into the Boy Scouts? Because I did catch on that one of the young ladies that was also an Eagle Scout also did Girl Scouts, right? So they can do both. Is there anything that you guys have seen why they would gravitate towards what they're doing in Boy Scouts versus the Girl Scouts?
So the young lady that my son's Scoutmaster's daughter, she was already getting her award in Girl Scouts, and that was the first year that we allowed young ladies to be in Boy Scouts of America at the time, now Scouting America. That was the transition. So there was I wouldn't say we fast tracked them, but they within the first year of being, I want to say we graduated 142 female Eagle Scouts the first year. And they were already, so imagine they've already went through the whole Girl Scout process, which they used to teach almost exactly the same things, right? So the transition happened is you have all these ladies out there in the Cub Scout, BSA Cub Scout programs and BSA Boy Scout programs that they went to scout units as a kid with their little brothers, at the time, and they wanted to be scouts and they did everything. They never had that opportunity. So when we said, hey, we're going to let females in, a lot of these young ladies were like, I'm going to be a Boy Scout. They do more cool stuff.
That's what I was going to ask. Is that what it is? Because I always wondered what would make a little girl or a girl want to be a Boy Scout, and I assumed it was that, like, Boy Scouts are camping and doing cool shit, and they're not doing the same thing in the Girl Scouts. So why would you stay in the Girl Scouts if you could do?
It's all about selling them cookies, bro. Better,
Hey,
you know,
hey, by the way, cookies are delicious, bro. Them Samoas, baby.
I'm going to defend them for a second. Because I have nothing against the Girl Scouts. When I first started in the scouting in Europe, the Boy Scouts and the Girl Scouts were pretty much together. Other countries have always had females in their scouting associations. When Lord Baden-Powell started scouting in Europe, Lady Powell was right next to him, and she started the Girl Scouts, and they were always together, and they're buried together, right? They died in Africa and then moved to England, and they moved their bodies to England, and they were always scouting internationally, which is the purple emblem, which is the World Organization of the Scout Movement, is on your heart. It's not an American thing, it's a global thing. Us as Americans, we've always divided ourselves, masculine and feminine. So it's not as big as issue as you think it is. And I'm going to address Bob here. He said, I'm old and I approve. I've heard this conversation a lot, Bob. It's fine. I was in the military when the Army decided to put females in combat arms. I was a drill instructor during that time. And I'm here to tell you that those young ladies will absorb like a sponge because they feel that they have something to prove to be better than the guys, right? So they're pushing and pushing and pushing. And actively right now, we have female tank commanders. We have female infantry commanders. We have female ranger school instructors, female sapper school instructors. So why can't we do that with our youth? I can tell you right now that I'm a girl dad, right? And my girls are girly, but I raised all three of my children as men, if that makes sense to you. I've raised all three of them as chin and treated them with respect and taught them to have other people treat them with respect. So what's the difference? The gender to me at that point makes absolutely no change. Now, what people are concerned with is, oh, guys can't be guys. Oh, let me tell you what a little 13-year-old boy does if he's not controlled, right? He just goes and picks his nose and runs off into the woods.
Yeah.
That ain't what I was doing, but what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's not all they're doing. But what to say is a lot of people have a misunderstanding. It's like they're not sleeping in the same areas. There's girl troops in an area, and then there's boy troops. How much crazier are church camp schools? I bet you they're even more often.
Bro,
right?
I'm glad you brought that.
I'm not even getting into that. They're probably. I've had scouts tell me that.
Bro, my sons went to church camps and came back, and I was like, they were talking about all the girls and they were vaping and shit. I'm like, what the fuck?
Did you guys even talk about Jesus there? Like, what do y'all?
Not even use the Bible, bro. What are we doing? But so you're
right? Yeah, we take away their cell phones, we take away that, and they're under constant supervision. So is there stuff happening? Probably, but it's not as rampant as what everybody thinks it is. But all that I see the flames in the background. So to wrap it up, how I ended up being a ranger is Gary Vaughn.
Don't worry about the flames. We're just prepping. You got as much time as you need, brother.
I have one more question for you too.
Okay, so Gary Vaughn was like, hey, I need you to come out to Camp Geronimo. I need your engineering expertise. I need you to be on the property board. So I loved Camp Geronimo. It's up in the Ponderosa Pines. You're in Arizona, but you're up. Like this morning, I got 2.5 inches of snow. It was 38 degrees. I got bears and chickens and cows and cats and bobcats and lions. How can you not love Geronimo, right? So I'm up there and I give them an engineer estimate, like what you would give, what you two would give. Like, hey, this is the infrastructure. You got issues here in your road, blah, blah, blah. So I give them an engineer estimate. And little did I know I was getting interviewed for a job. And then summer camp started for that year. And they asked me to help out. And the next thing I know is like, hey, dude, do you want to work here as a ranger? And I'm like, what? What does that entail? And they're like, well, we give you a house. You get to live here all the time and you get to fix the place. And I'm like, sure, I got nothing better to do with my life right now.
So that's for Scouts of America?
Yeah, so we have every state has summer camps. Your state, each one of your state has a summer camp. Scouting America summer camp. The Girl Scouts have them too. Church.
So your ranger thing is your like park ranger services?
No, so ranger by the term of Scouting America ranger. So I'm not the cool guy with the. I get to wear whatever I want. But I'm a one guy in charge of 210 acres, which is pretty small.
Nice.
For Philmont,
four scouts.
So for Scouting Arizona, for the Grand Canyon Council, and we have 4 currently. We have 4 camps right now with 4 different rangers, with 4 different rangers. One at each camp.
So my question's easy, and it's really more for veterans that are out there that are looking to get involved in something and do something, right? Because we always preach in this podcast, don't just sit at your house. Like you said, I mean, you nailed it. If you've got PTSD and you've got issues, don't just sit at your house and just marinate in the fucking bullshit. Get out and get involved and do something. It doesn't have to be with the VFWs, but that's an option. There's a ton of options. What can veterans do, or how, if they want to get involved in scouting, if they want to be a scoutmaster or an assistant scoutmaster, or they just want to get involved in their community and be a part of this organization, what are the steps, or what is the process? How do they do it?
So it's actually pretty simple. Most people join scouting because of their children. There's very few that don't have skin in the game, meaning that they don't have kids, but they're out there. They were former scouts or former Boy Scouts or whatever. I would start, if you're in VFW or American Legion, see if they're sponsoring. Okay. And if not, I guarantee you, ask tomorrow wherever you work, hey, are any of you in a scout troop? And I guarantee you 1 person in 10 is going to tell you, yeah, I'm in troop 2249. And they're like, oh man, hey, do you guys need help? And that's how you start, right? Because they always need help. And
so to be one, ask one, right? Is that what we're saying?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Yes,
it's that simple. It is that simple. And then of course, now because of legal reasons, the minute you want to be around youth, they're going to be like, hey, why do you want to be around kids? So of course you have a background.
Well,
they give you
I think that's a parent, as a dad, like you said, as a girl dad, I love that, because my daughter asked me this year, could she go to a camp? And I was like, no.
Yeah.
Not yet. We're not there. You're not going, because they don't let them have their cell phones and shit. We're not doing it. But I think it's great they do an extensive background check on anybody that wants to. My son's a high school. He's 22. He just got picked to be a high school lacrosse coach, Matt, just so you know. Okay. Alex is coaching lacrosse, and he had to go
that team's screwed.
Yeah, he's screwed. They had to go through a pretty extensive background check, and I like that. I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
That they're vetting adults who want, like, you don't have any kids and you want to hang out with kids, but as a veteran, that's not so weird. That's a veteran wanting to get involved. But yeah, I just want to.
Oh yeah, we're all used to that. Process.
So we have to undergo youth protection training, just like the Girl Scouts of America. We have to undergo youth protection training. Everybody has to be certified. It used to be before where I can invite you out to a camp out and you see if you like it and join us. I can't do that anymore. Like now, if you wanted to come to camp out, I have to give you an application. You have to be vetted and then come in. And then we do YP, what we call youth protection training. It was just like your military EO training, but theirs is pretty intense, man. The youth have to go through it also. So not only are you going through it, we're also educating the youth on what we used to call stranger danger looks like, because it's not only in the form of adults, unfortunately, right? A lot of your assaulters are other youth. Yeah. So, you're instilling in them, and, and you picking as a scoutmaster, you pick the people who you think are going to take care of your kids. And I would hate that. Right. And that's another thing back in leadership is where these people are entrusting me with their children. And, and I'm telling you, this is what I'm doing with your children. And, we're going to raise good people. And if at any time you think I'm wrong, then come join me.
Yeah. Nice.
I love it.
Hell yeah.
Well, Ty's ready to go. I know that you're ready to go. So me and Al are going to get out of here and let you guys rap for a little bit.
See you in a bit.
All right, here we go.
Sure.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right, good to go. So you watch the show, you kind of know how the hot seat goes, but we're going to do a little bit different this time since it's you. I want you to give me 90 seconds on this phrase. Just wax poetic with your leadership that I often said that, you're like Cyclops. If you take that Cyclops mask off, the leadership just permeates out of you. Give me 90 seconds on this. The quality of our communication shapes the quality of our lives.
If Dr. Baker is watching right now, she's probably happy. So how you project yourself is how you live your life. There's a lot of, and some people are going to get butthurt over this, but if you live your life every day with the affliction clothing, with the military style hat, with, I'm military, I'm a vet, and you're constantly angry, that is the quality of your current communication right now that you're putting out to the world. So at one point in your time, you have to reflect upon yourself and ask yourself, what am I putting out in the world? When I walk out of the door into the public, do people smile when they see me? Do they want to talk to me? Or they see all the veteran stuff and they're like, oh, I just need to thank him for his service to move on. What are you putting out into the world? As a leader, what are you putting out into the world? Do you want people to approach you? Then be approachable. If you don't want people to approach you, then don't be approachable, but also don't conceal yourself in that little eggshell of anger and, let it eat you alive. The quality of your communication is the quality of your life. You have to learn how to be one with people, even if you're going to be a hermit by yourself. You have to be able to interact, because eventually you're going to have to talk to someone.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, a little bit lighter note. What is the best hot sauce of all time?
Ooh, man. So I'm only saying this because it's deployed with me so many times, and there's a lot of people that deploy. But the old Tapatio is the best one for me. It's the all around. Is the in between the, the old vinegar base and the salsa base. It holds a special place in my heart. Even having exploded all over me during an explosion and everybody freaking out. The Tapatio.
Very nice. We had kind of an ongoing, the Navy guys on the show talk about the Chiefs mess, and then me being an EWO, I was around a lot of Chiefs, so that's what I had with you and Coker and a lot of other outstanding leaders. We would sit around and in the middle of a freaking goat field called Daydotty 2 and eat ramen, and we would wax poetic for hours about, while eating fucking whatever hot sauce we could get our hands on.
Texas Pete.
Yeah, whatever it was, man, it was good. All right, tell me about a time when you would say sorry, Graniti.
I should have said it 100 times in this broadcast. I think that was a very funny special occasion that you and I shared with that young lady. She was a force within. She is a force within herself, but she would come bulldoze you out of the way, and rank meant nothing to her. I think she was an E4 at the time, and both of us were sergeant first classes, and she would just interrupt us. And after a while, I was like, "Oh, sorry, Graniti," and that just became a joke between you and I. Anytime something happened, we'd be like, "Sorry, Graniti," and I still say it actually.
Yeah, it's funny. I'll end up saying it in just a text when I think about you. It was funny because she was the best 25 Bravo ever worked with, and she would just change lines of code and be like, "Get out of the way, guy that thinks you know everything." Way. Yeah, she actually shushed Major Vale. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember.
During a talk.
Yeah. I remember training her for the board.
All right, here's a good one. Top 5 MCs of all time from 5 to 1. Go.
Ooh, that's a rough one. So for me, it's definitely DMX, Nas, of course, Eminem's in there. The other two, I really don't care too much about. That can flow. Biggie Smalls. I don't have a fifth one. I'm not a big Carter fan, so Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne.
There you go. Yeah. What was your number one playlist? What's the song you would play before you went out on a mission?
I'm a Barbie girl. Have you ever gotten a firefight playing I'm a Barbie girl? No. So my playlist rolling out for route clearance was always, and all my guys would tell you, was always Lowrider, right? Because we're in these slow vehicles. So that was the number one song. And then, of course, it went into, Drowning Pool, and then with your typical our era, Vietnam era songs for combat. But number one was always Lowrider, followed by something intense. But then you're on route clearance doing 5 miles an hour. So you couldn't be too high speed all the time, so it was just whatever was on the playlist after that.
A nice Yoga Nidra? No, definitely not. What's the most unique place in the world you've ever visited?
San Gimignano, Italy. My family knows. I want anybody who's listening. You're gonna throw my ashes there. You're gonna sneak me back to Italy, to Florence, and you're gonna spread my ashes in San Gimignano, Italy. I've been there several times. I fell in love with the place. It reminds me of the one movie that you watch every year. Every one of us guys has a movie that you watch every year, minus 2 of them. Is Jurassic Park, and it's also not Spartacus, Gladiator. So it just reminds you of the part where he's walking to the fields of Elysium, and the whole place just looks like that, right? It's a medieval dungeon town, if you would, up in the mountains. Was given up because of the plague, and the Nazis took over, and the 101st came over to occupy it, and then it Yeah, it became this little village that's there, and it's in the Florence region, and it's quiet. It's nothing. The Medici family used to own it at one point, and it's where I want to rest, if you would.
Yeah, I've been now to Progreso, Mexico twice, in the Yucatan Peninsula, being right there on the shore. I've been inland to some of the Mayan stuff. That place is just magical to me because my hips stopped hurting. I just felt better. So more and more, I think that's probably my answer. All right, first concert, best concert.
First concert. I'm gonna tell you something that's. I've only been to one concert. Well, have I been to more than one concert? No, I've been to two concerts in my life. My first one was a Cinco de Mayo when I was a teenager, and it was Heavy D and the Boys. And then my last one was the. What's the name of the girl band? The British girl band.
Spice Girls.
Spice Girls. Yeah, before we left Europe, we ended up going to a Spice Girls concert, and I had a blast there. But I think my family's been to more concerts than I have. I've only been to two: Heavy D and the Boys, rest in peace, and then the Spice Girls.
That's what I'm talking about. All right, I got another wax poetic. Just put you on the spot. Ask you about leadership. What is the maximum effective range of an excuse in life?
0.
And why?
It's 0. Because if you just take a second before you make the excuse, you'll find the answer. It's instinctual that we want to make excuses, right, just to come up with a better answer, but it takes a long time, and none of us are perfect at it. I'm not even perfect at it, right? So, as my wife can tell you, I come up with excuses all the time, but it's 0 meters. If it's something serious, then you as a man, and I'm saying this universally, men and women, you as a man need to take what just happened, sit and reflect on it, and come up with a solution. Come up with a solution every single time. Whether it comes out in your favor or out of your favor, come up with a solution. Because if you do not, it's going to eat you. It might not eat you now, but it will eat you later. So come up with a solution. It's 0 meters.
Good answer. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but I knew you would wax poetic quite well. No. All right. As of today, 19 February 2026, what drives you in life?
So family still drives me. The will to succeed, not getting down on myself, trying to make myself a better man always, and just continuing to lead as far as I can. Like I said earlier, I believe I was put here for a reason, and when I'm done being a ranger, I'm going to move on to something else. So whatever's put in front of me, that drives me, and ultimately, the second and third order effects is always the excellence and the success of my family, and where does my legacy lead? If when I die and no one knows my name but my great-grandchildren, that is the legacy I want to leave behind. I just don't want to be awesome now. I want to be awesome for an eternity until no one whispers my name anymore.
Nice answer. All right. Is there anything that keeps you up at night?
Yes. This new phase of people putting hot dogs inside tamales. I want to punch that person in the face.
Gotcha. All right. Here's a big question everybody talks about for the show. Who's the greatest of all time? Michael Jackson or Prince?
Come on, man. Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to this thing we call life. And life's an everlasting word. It's a mighty long time. But I mean to tell you, there's something else. The afterworld. Can I answer your question?
Yes, it does. It's a contentious thing, but Prince keeps pulling out. He's not let it get very close. Prince is, of course, my answer to that question too. But there's been some pretty compelling arguments each way. Last question for the hot seat, Marty.
Sure.
Well, actually, I got 2 questions.
Sure.
Can you tell me a little bit about the history of the historical figure? Sometimes in dark military lore, sometimes in the very secretive first phase of special operations of CIA and military. Tell me about Marty Head and the phenomenon it was.
So we were in Afghanistan, and it started on a normal hot day, and we're probably on our 5th ripet. And me and Mr. Sanchez, I believe, my predecessor, my partner in crime in the FUOPS office, were sitting there, and a now chief walks in and snaps a picture of me, and then he proceeded to take that picture, and at the time, I think it was PowerPoint, and he made this Andy Warhol thing, and I didn't even know what was going on. And I think it was from just me telling stories inside the office. He started this Facebook page of me called Marty Head, and the premise was that he would just take my face and put it on different moments in history, and saying, "Hey, Marty Head was here, Marty." And then for a while, it took off. I think if it happened now, it'd be a lot bigger than what it was back in. The Facebook page still exists. There's stickers all over the world. We did print stickers, and they're all over Afghanistan, Iraq, Mezar Sharif, all over the place, right? But yeah, it is just a picture of my head, and it's a cult following, if you would, after my face, and not me. Not so much me, more my face. It's really weird.
Yeah, that is what this background is actually inspired. I was looking. I made this once we booked you. I was like, I need to get a Marty head, so I made a Andy Warhol for our podcast logo. But you've officially okay. Last question: what can we do to make our podcast better?
I think on the serious side, the last guest you just had, which you weren't on, I was looking at that one, and he did say, I don't think it needs a lot of prep, but like maybe a little bit. Like a preemptive, hey, this is how we flow, this is how I'm gonna have, and you guys might already do that. So because some people might not be as comfortable answering some of the questions if they're personal, if they're not personal, because you guys go off the flow of the interviewee. So if it's going dull, then you guys just start hammering them with questions. So I think a little pre-prep, and then additionally, if there is something you can do about YouTube, I've been trying to look for did you interview Rocco Vargas?
Yeah, we had him on.
I can't find it. I've looked at YouTube, and I don't know if there's any way you can like make it categorized where it's like 1 through 139, or I've scrolled over one.
I'll send it to you on Spotify.
Okay. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, I'll send it out to you.
Keep doing what you're doing. You're about to have a lot more great guests. I hope you get Joe on here, and hope you get some other guys. There's a lot more amazing people out there than me. So just keep doing what you're doing, man. It's pretty awesome, and I hope to keep following you for a long time if you don't make me mad.
Oh, we're definitely going to do that once.
No, you won't.
In fact, next show I'm coming on in a Boy Scout outfit, and I'm going to be like, "Hello, Marty." I am Marty Head, and I'm gonna transform into Marty Head for segments of this show and just go on a rant.
He's going to wear his Boy Scout uniform from childhood, by the way. He still fits.
Yeah. When I put my Scout uniform on, people say I look like that little fat kid from Up.
This house might float away. Don't mess with me.
Yeah. Man, I really thought you guys were going to be who was my 1 hour with.
So I do have to, I got a picture here I want to ask you about. Tell me about this, the rock of pontification, the rock of ponderance. Tell me about this.
Sure. So Al, you had asked a serious question about PTSD and everything. And one thing that I don't know if you guys have it, but part of being blown up so many times, I can kind of smell, if you would, the emotion in someone that has severe PTSD or they're shaking. And I've dealt with a lot of brothers, especially being a combat engineer, and especially us getting blown up, and especially us losing so many friends and going back out there. You can feel it, right? You can be around another veteran and feel it. So that rock right there is, every week I get about 500 people during summer camp, right? For 7 weeks, I get 500 people every week. Hopefully 500. I wish it was more, but so that rock came about one day where that is a point, that creek behind there is called Weber Creek. And that's just a rock out by one of my campsites. And I found peace at that, just listening to the babbling brook, if you will. And there was a veteran there one time, and the guy had the shakes, and, I don't know if he was, having withdrawals or whatever, but you can tell he was having a hard time because the 13-year-olds that he was taking care of, you can't beat them. So you can see him like, I can see it. You can feel it, right? You can feel his anger. And I pulled him aside and I just started talking, and I was like, hand him something here, some gum, start chewing it. And we don't talk about the actual approach of talking about veterans and PTSD. What I talk about is like, hey man, what's going on? How you liking your trip? Oh, these kids, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's fun. Here, come on, man. Here, have a seat by this rock. Here's what I go when I have a hard time at this place. I sit down at this rock, and it's easy to zone out. I listen to the flow of the water and the crashing of the water on the rocks, and it helps you focus and it helps you take your mind. And I tell everybody, you have to find dumb stuff to do that requires no thinking in your life, especially if you're a veteran that suffers from PTSD. You have to have that one thing it doesn't take anything. It's sweeping, it's mopping, it's picking your nose, it's picking out a corner, it's just sitting and focusing to where it's a point of zen where there's nothing left in your mind. Well, that rock helps you focus, and it's flat and you can see the world around you. You're not trapped, there's traffic behind you, so you're not being caught up, you're not freaking out. And at one point, depending on what time of the day you go to, you just feel the peace of the entire forest. Instead of circling on you, it blankets you. And it's nothing special but just a rock, listening to the water, focusing on what's ailing you, and then whatever issue you're having will come to your forefront, and then you're allowed to think about that, right? You're allowed to think about what issues are troubling you, and you sit there and you pretty much pontificate on your life at that point. It might take 5 minutes, it might take 10 minutes. I have found guys go there every single morning because I make my rounds every morning about 5:30 to 6 o'clock, and I'll see a dude sitting there from far away, and I'll just turn my side by side around and go around, and I know he found his peace. And then they end up coming back and give more of themselves to the organization.
Yeah, I typically spend some time, like I put my feet over my head and I rub my taint, like I like tickle. Like I don't know if that's something
it works.
Just me, but it does work because I don't have to think. Yeah, there you go. I don't have to think a whole lot. Like you said, no, I'm just fucking around. But
no, you're not. You're serious,
I'm not.
Bro.
No, I'm not. But for real, on some real shit. That PTSD part where you touch on like finding a place where you can just be alone and have some time to think and just time to like evaluate. I think I don't have a rock with a bubbling creek. I wish I did, but I also find time to speak to like brothers, right? So I talk to Ty, I talk to Matt, I talk to people that have been through the same shit we've been through. So just don't. I guess my thing is don't just sit and deal with it on your own, right? Find somebody you can talk to, or find a place you can talk to, or a place you can go and visit, and just spend time in nature. Like nature's like fuck, it's so healing. Like I go in the woods and I masturbate, but no, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. All right.
Again, he's not joking.
Do it.
Hey, no,
I was waiting. I was just waiting.
Naked in the snow, bro.
Naked outside in the wilderness. No, I'm just kidding, Marty.
Yeah. So Joe put it best, right? It's okay to not be okay. You have to.
100%.
Have to. And be careful. And I let me offer you this advice, if you will. Be careful at where you're at that day and what veterans you talk to. Because 100%. If you're talking to another veteran that's 100% fired up and you're not in the mindset, you need to find someone else to help them before you can help them. But you have to forgive yourself. You have to allow yourself to grieve. Whatever issue you're having, you have to allow yourself to grieve, because if not, you're going to be a tense asshole for the rest of your life and you're never going to let go of it. So allow yourself to forgive yourself, allow yourself to grieve and go through the grieving process. And then when you come out on the other side, it's just a reflection at that time. So the next time you think about it, you get that tear in your eye because you lost so-and-so or you did this. It's just a tear about that, but you don't have that tension because you've already let go of that tension. And at that point, it's just forgiveness and it's moving on.
Well, always seek wise counsel too. Like my wife always says that. Marty is like, she tells my kids that shit. Like always seek wise counsel. Be careful who you ask for advice or who you seek out, to console you or to talk to you, especially if you're having a really, and not Bob's talking shit, but I'll let it go. But no, on real shit, like you said, always seek wise counsel. Find somebody you can rely on that's going to talk you down or just listen to you. Somebody you don't want somebody to fix your problems. You just want somebody to listen. Seek wise counsel and be careful who you seek out to talk about your problems, right? Make sure you find that veteran. It have to be a veteran, but find that calming voice in the chaos and talk to somebody who you seek, who is wise and can really help you through whatever situation it is. Right. Like we talk shit all the time, but like really I do. I reach out to Matt or I reach out to Ty for certain things and they never give me bad advice or Ty might.
I was going to say,
no.
I think Matt doesn't give bad advice, but sometimes I can give bad advice.
Even Bob, like me and Bob talk all the time. We message on Facebook and we just bullshit. And sometimes we just need that, right? You just need just need an ear to fucking vent to. Find somebody you can vent to.
All right, I got a couple other questions here.
Oh shit!
So I do want to talk about Mexican rave music.
What the fuck is that?
Did you say Mexican raisins?
Rave music.
Mexican rave music. I want you to tell me about Mexican rave.
It was the Super Bowl.
Did I send you that link?
No. We talked about it, kind of the pre-thing, but you said you were going to talk about Mexican rave
Marty,
music.
I have to know. You have to really go into detail because I've never heard of Mexican rave music.
It was one of those crazy things that came across my feed. So let's take how do we equate this? Sorry, F-22s. I don't know if you guys can hear that. So let's equate it to the most old school music that your parents, right? So when you were kicking back with your parents and you were told, hey kid, you're too small, this is grown stuff business. And our parents used to hang out, right? They used to have parties at the house. They used to kick it and listen to music and drink and yada, yada, yada. So take that music that they listen to, right? So for us as Hispanics, it's all rancheras or cumbias or norteños, it's old school music. Well, these DJs started taking this old school stuff and then dropping it in rave music. So you're making a double connection, right? Your endorphins are being fed with the, oh man, it's the polka music. And then all of a sudden they drop the beat and man, that stuff is just amazing, right? So us five were around when the whole techno, phase went down when they came out with, James Brown is dead. And then, you had Sesame Street and you had all those other raves. And the music dropped, and I spent most of my time getting demoted in Germany to raves. So you take that, and you take Grandpa's old music, and you stick it in the front. And now I'm having, I'm having my moment of reminiscence, and it's beautiful. It just started happening a couple months ago. I just started seeing it, but look it up.
Bob said he's gonna have to YouTube it, bro. He's like, Bob said
we'll have this old, and you've heard all the new ones that all the kids are playing, the new banda music, and then you're like, oh, what's that? But it's straight up Mexican music, and then it'll stop, and then the beat just drops, and the crowd just goes ape shit. So it's pretty.
Hell yeah, I'm gonna be lost in Google tonight. Like, let me.
You'll be like, what's going on? You're gonna want to go get a few Modelos. You're gonna shake Modelos and be like, yeah.
I'm a high school Modelo, bro. So I'm gonna be in trouble. I'll be texting Marty, hey, bro, this music has got me on fire, bro.
You're gonna do like all the other Mexicans do halfway through. I love you, man.
Yeah, bro. I'm have a pacifier in one side, all oiled up in my living room.
Bro, that's like, Italians, dude. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Oiled up. What are you talking about?
My wife's like, what the fuck are you doing?
You going to a party?
Bro, this Mexican rave music is the shit, dude.
Go to a Mexican rave, dude.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is what everyday conversations were like. We were on staff together with the 2nd Engineer Battalion at Day Dottie, where we were working under conditions of, economy of force. So they were doing the full-on fucking, route clearance mission along the area where Germans were in charge, and there was economy of force, so we didn't have the infrastructure maybe needed, and so the yacht tempo is pretty high. Of course, it is with route clearance, and so being able to have these conversations with him to take, have a moment of levity when you're in the middle of fucking chaos sometimes. And me as a support guy, I always tried to find people like him to be able to, make me feel good, because you can learn from him. He's fun as hell. He's an encyclopedia of hip hop. Last thing I want to touch on, and we may not want to get into this because it has to do with feathers, and we don't want Al to get all carried away. But talk to me a little bit about
I'm
touch.
fine. I'm fine. I'm okay. I'm okay.
Talk to me about touch with a feather. You mentioned this before too. Is that something that I wrote down in my ADHDness talking to you?
Do you have anything else written down?
Yeah, Netflix CEO book, McCallum.
No, touch with the feather. I don't.
No,
Touch with a feather. Ty, what were you doing when you wrote that down?
Hey man, I guess that's
Oh,
another
yes, Ty, let's talk about touch with the feather. What does that mean to you? And tell me what you were doing yesterday at 6 p.m.
No,
As Al leans in.
What were we doing? Hold on.
I don't know. You and I were probably talk about training or leading, and I probably said.
Well, I also have Army training, David, Sergeant First Class, Martinez in Ukraine, and then touch with a feather. So it was something to do with the Rock of Ponderances where I had it. So I thought it was. It may have been something about how you talk about touch lightly when you interface with veterans that are having an issue. Maybe we were talking about.
So, I remember. So it's probably a choice of words, but it goes back to what I was talking to you guys about recognizing what phase, right? And I don't know if I'm coining this term, but what phase of PTSD is that veteran in, right? What phase? And you have World War II vets that we have met. I've met a lot of them actually, to Vietnam, to Desert Storm, to OIF, to Afghanistan. And even as far back as the World War II, some of those guys are still in the initial phases, right? And if you ever want to get your mind blown, the lady that you had on that was Al's teacher, the Vietnam nurses, dear Lord, the disrespect that happened to them. The Vietnam vets were already getting disrespected, but the 60s were an animal, and there was a bunch of lies. I implore you to go get the audiobook, The Women, all right? It's about a Vietnam nurse, and you think you have it bad, and you put yourself in your place, and you're like, I ain't shit. Right. I did a lot of stuff. I've been in a lot of firefights. I've been blown up a lot. I've seen a lot of death. I put away a lot of bodies. But the amount of crap that they did makes you feel this small. So, right. So the touch of the feather comes with, again, forget about yourself. Take yourself away from this. What is that person going through? And, how am I going to affect it? Am I going to move them? Am I going to be gentle with this? Am I going to be their friend? Am I going to be like you guys said? Am I just going to listen? What is it? At what phase are you going to approach that person with?
Nice. I appreciate that. Hey, so I appreciate you coming on, sharing your story. We kind of jumped around a lot, but I knew this is going to be a bit of an unorthodox episode. But before we go, your family, you've talked about them, sparingly a little bit, but you have talked about the dedication. If you don't mind, give your kids a shout out, because my children still remember your children coming to the house when we were out in White Sands. And I remember, Marcus searching for freaking scorpions out at White Sands. And I saw Marcus's Eagle Scout pinning, I guess, on the webcam. I think that's 2020-ish or something like that. And so I've seen your family grow, and you've seen mine as well. You saw my son before the show started. Talk about your family a little bit, brother.
Yeah, I mean, we can go a whole nother show, right? So it's an amazing thing. Again, like I told Al, it's amazing that our wives have stayed with us this long for 25 years. I think they make bad decisions. I tell mine all the time. Horrible decisions, because she's decided to stay with me for this long, and she's crazy. So, of course, to the matriarch of our family, without her, there'd be nothing. And then, so my beautiful children, my oldest one, Facebook's crazy, right? I've seen your kids grow. I feel like I've been there every step of the way. And our oldest, is now just recently married. I think she just, I was just going to say graduated. She just celebrated her 1-year anniversary. She married a soldier, and they're off to their part of life. And that's Esmeralda. My middle one, Isabella, is pushing into the nursing program as much as she can. She is also a giver. She likes to lead, and she likes to take care of people. And, that is a reflection of, I'd say myself and her mother, putting that together. And she's a really tough cookie, right? Middle child. And, you know how the middle child goes. And then you have Marcus, right? You have the youngest one, who is the rebel, if you will. But he pushes the limits, and he's always exploring, and he is my Renaissance man. So as we like to do as fathers, we want to put in, wow, I'm getting phone calls. We want to put into our sons, to make them better. 100%, right? And you've heard it online, and you heard it in poems, you heard it everything. We are the only men that will love you as much as more than anybody else is your father, and you're trying to make that person better. And so I'm hoping when I cut the reins on him, and you're a peacock, go fly, he'll take over the world. So yeah, but that's all 4 of them. Oh, and the 2 dogs and the cat and the turtle and the plants. But yeah, I have an amazing family, and I'm very proud of all of them. And yeah, they support me in my craziness in every phase of my life, and that is a big. So that is huge, right? So that is a step that I believe that I have above a lot of people. They say, how do you deal with it? And it's because the support structure that I have is huge, and it's within my close personal family. And then as it goes out, I'm a lot to take for a lot of people. So, I don't interact too much with so many people outside, but my internal family knows me. They know my quirks, and, and I try to recognize everything I can do to make them.
I want to show you a video here. I had lunch with my daughter who's having a baby, and her and her husband today, they were at a conference down in Galveston, passed through today, but this is the reveal of what they're having. My youngest daughter's pregnant. So I think when out in 2010, she was freaking 7 years old.
Yeah. Are you going to show the gender reveal?
Yeah. Did I show you guys this?
No, you fucking peachy weto motherfucker. Like, that's some white shit right there.
Hey, Al's trying to use big words for the guests.
I had lunch with him today, and I asked if it was okay if we were allowed to see this.
No, that's pretty cool. You haven't shared. So yeah.
Let's go.
I wanna hear, I wanna feel what I thought was never real. I wanna let go of the pain I felt so long. Erase all the pain till it's gone. I wanna heal, I wanna feel like I'm close to something real.
I just want to know what the video would have looked like.
I want to know, like, that's pretty, like, yeah, bro, you got him like hitting like this, and then all this explosion and bang. Like,
you saw, it was basketball players, hockey players, transformers.
There's a lot of fighting, a lot of anger in that video.
Hell yeah, that's a lot of
shit. He's like a tuner, race car driver. Real intense. Athlete, plays tennis. I just found out today that he's a damn near professional bowler.
Let's
hold on. Also, they need to help us out with some social media shit.
That's for sure. And
she's going to be the publicist for the TTV Live Foundation.
You tell him all those sports you names are not real sports. Those are just those are games. Those are not sports.
You tell him. I'm supportive, damn it. I'm supportive.
You tell him.
I did tell him today. I was like, I don't.
Those shits are not sports.
I don't play them rich sports, is what I told him. I said I played the public sports.
Yeah, we play poor sports. We play shit. You can have a basket nailed to a tree with a
milk crate against the house. Yeah, bro. What's up?
We don't play tennis. Oh, goofy white motherfuckers playing
tennis. Yeah, you'll go play some pickleball today, though, bro.
Pickleball, playing bowler. Okay, now it's cool.
He can probably play pickleball really well as well.
He looks like a pickleball.
Shout out Jaden having a boy, and very happy for Cadence and Jaden.
Congratulations!
Congrats! Hell yeah! Another tie, another Cobb child, another Cobb boy.
Sorry,
hell yeah!
Sorry, Grenady. Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Well, that's awesome. Marty Head, I appreciate you so much. Anything you want to shout out before we get out of here?
Yeah, thank you for having me again. If you're a veteran out there, we're out here to listen to you. Forgive yourself. Give yourself time to heal. Be mad. It's okay to be upset. Let it out and find an outlet. And if you can't find one, let us help you find one.
And then say one more time if someone wants to get involved with Scouting America. Sure.
If you want to get involved with Scouting America, find your local council is probably your best place to start. You can just Google your state council, florida.scouting.org, and you will come up with a council. Some states have more than one, and say, hey, I am a X, Y, and Z. I can provide you carpentry. I can provide you this skill set. I want to be involved in scouting and give back to my community. And I guarantee you they would be crazy not to swoop you up. And then again, if you don't want to go that route in your organization, wherever you work, just start asking people around you, say, any of you in Scouts right now, Scouting America? And one of them's going to say yes and be like, hey, man, I got this to provide you, where can I help? And we're always looking for people to help. And then if you want to go to your local scout camp and help the ranger fix stuff, everything's always broken. So come on down.
Just like being on the military base. Baby.
Just like being in the military.
DPW. That is what you are.
Fucking
Rangers
dermo.
DPW.
Yeah, fucking dermo. Everything is dermo.
Yeah.
Camp maintenance.
Hell yeah, man.
Well, Marty, I appreciate it very much. Ladies and gentlemen, Ramon Martinez, retired Sergeant First Class, combat engineer. We said on the description that he may be just a man, but he is also a philosopher. If no one else has called him that, I'm calling him that today. So appreciate you very much, man.
Thanks, brother.
Love you guys.
All right, love you, man.
Brother.
Ramon Martinez.
Dude's
I told you
dude's a
guys.
stud, bro. Dude is a
bro.
stud. You talk to that guy for hours.
Yeah.
Like,
And that's the closest thing that I've had in my career that compares to what y'all tell me about the Chiefs mess.
Yeah,
and the
yeah.
leadership
Well,
that just happened.
I just want to leave it at this, Al. We need to up our game, dude. We have got to have Ty stop bringing dudes on that have amazing beards for like every guest.
Oh, bro, I'm done. I was gonna trim mine down again. I'm not doing. I'm growing mine back out like it was. I'm done because I want to be like Marty, bro. Like want to be like Marty.
So here, I want to piss Al off real quick. So we got the what the Super Bowl was, but I've put Bad Bunny in the top 5 halftime.
Bro, stop
For
it.
real?
You couldn't even understand what he was saying. You didn't even know what the fuck he was
I
saying.
live in 2026. I understand a lot of Spanish. So
You
Hold on,
liberal,
though.
you liberal motherfucker.
and Bad Bunny.
And Kendrick Lamar's not on that list. He sucked.
Yeah,
And
I would
Bad
really
Bunny
like to
sucked, bro.
talk about
Stop.
these.
It's about the overall production and the way that Bad Bunny showed the culture.
Nerd. No.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't have the thing anymore. But when we were talking about this a couple weeks ago, and you said what my playlist looks like, it's true. Like I have.
Oh yeah, your playlist is crazy, Ty.
Yeah, like I listen to some weird shit. So.
You listen to everything.
I'm just fucking around. I don't really know if it's top 5, but I just want to push it.
No,
I was about to say, dude.
No, that was just to piss Al off. But
it worked. It worked because I'm like, are you serious right now?
No. I'll redo that if we really want to, and I don't think.
I'd have to go back and look because like the top for me, top national anthem of all time is Whitney Houston. I don't think
Chris
anybody
did a good job too.
I don't think anybody can beat Whitney. Chris Stapleton is a close second, but bro, Whitney Houston, oh my god!
Yeah, I'm glad that you said that list was to piss off Al because 3 of those that you had on the list, I was like, "Are you serious?" Dre.
Well,
and
MJ
Snoop
was
Dogg?
the original. Prince is my favorite, and
Yes.
Dre, the top 3 there. But I put Kendrick Lamar on there because Kendrick Lamar, even though I love the music and I loved everything about it. But I liked Rihanna's better because she was up in the air and she was pregnant, so I thought that was cool. But like, I just put that on there because Kendrick Lamar literally just came out and said, "You're a pedophile" on the fucking Super Bowl, and I just didn't think we should do that kind of stuff.
That shit was crazy.
I didn't understand why, but the song's awesome, the production was awesome, but I did that to piss you off.
I just don't like Kendrick Lamar. I don't think he ain't in my top 5. He's not in my top 5.
Go.
So I heard y'all talking last week.
Yes.
That y'all want to do this. So the selection show is on March 15th.
Yep.
So I'll be sure and I'll get us one made either in ESPN or Yahoo, and we'll make it available.
So here's the deal. We're going to do a bracket with the podcast. And if you want to be in the bracket, then you need to go follow us on YouTube, follow us on Apple or Spotify, and then send us a message showing that you followed us, and then we'll let you into the bracket because, we're trying to grow, we're trying to get there, and we just want, to get everybody to join in. So go follow us in these pages, and you can be into the bracket. And who knows, there might be some special prizes to win out of it. But at this point, go follow us and join us in the brackets this year. What do you guys think about that?
That sounds good to me. That's a
and if you're already following, it's easy. Just take a snapshot.
Yeah, absolutely. Be sure and like, subscribe, follow, and share. It does wonders for the algorithm. We appreciate all the feedback, but keep it going. Faux show.
Say hey to everybody. Say hey.
Next week's guest.
Hey.
What's going on?
They're saying
Is it bedtime? Yeah, it's 9 o'clock. It's past 9 o'clock.
and then you say good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Somebody went and got their nails done.
Oh, got your yeah. You know how we do it. You know how we do the hero household. I'm outnumbered and outgunned, and they just do what they want to do, and they spend my money. So
That's what you say, but you're happy to do it.
I am, bro.
So next week we got Nate Brookshire. He's an author. He was my company commander. He was a sergeant first class, or he made it. He was enlisted, made it to the rank of sergeant first class as an MP. Did a lot of PSD missions, then crossed over, became an officer, went all the way to the rank of lieutenant colonel. Recently retired, and he's going to come on and share his story. I know I think he just put out a fire at a neighbor's house, and so he
looks like a badass, bro. He's got a black eye in this picture, dude.
Lung issues, so he's out there fighting fires and shit.
Nice.
And then the week after that, we got CIA Bob's squad leader, James Massey, one of my battle buddies from 2003 Iraq, and that's what's going on.
Hey, super pumped! I think I'm coming down for that cook-off, Ty. I think I'm going to cook.
That's great, Al. I'll be riding a float in New Orleans for St. Patrick's Day weekend.
March 14th. So I told Ty this. I'm going to put it out live on the podcast. I really want us to cook Triple Threat Vet Barbecue to cook at the Danny Dietz as a team.
We are. That's done. Let's do it.
Okay, Jen Lee's probably listening. It's
we're
happening.
in.
Okay,
it's happening.
Well, let's talk to Jen and figure out how to do it. I'll come in from Florida. I really want to do it. And
let's talk to Jen and then get White Mike's ass on the phone. We need a sponsor.
Mike, he'll sponsor us. I'm not worried about this. The company will sponsor. I'm not worried about that. But I really would like to do it. Yeah, I think I'm going to come down for that.
So Al Hero will be in town for the March 14th cook-off spring fling with Jen Lee, Tom Clark, JC's Good Old Boys, IBCA with War Pig Barbecue, Dennis Butterworth, Tanker Veteran, Sport Veteran Business. I do want to shout out, I forgot to say it earlier. I didn't have this picture when you talked about it earlier, but Daddy James does have some coffee blends. So go to Daddy James for barbecue sauce, and now he's got
bourbon barrel coffee blend at that.
100% Colombian. Veteran-owned business, previous guest on the show.
Oh, and then be on the lookout. He's got another memorial sauce coming out very soon.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't. Yeah, I've not seen any new emails of when that's being released, but he does have one for.
But it's on the horizon. So go out there and buy as much of that sauce as you can. And one, it remembers our heroes, and two, it helps them out too. You know, so be on the lookout for it. Oh,
show. All right. Anything else? Are you guys ready to get up out of here?
Good to go, bro. Let's get out of here.
Let's do it.
All right. Take us out, Matt.
Well, once again, Thursday night, we appreciate everybody being here. We love it when you guys come in and hear stories. We love when we have guests that have great stories and great wisdom to impart on everybody. Like we said, like, subscribe, follow. Go to YouTube, subscribe. Go to Apple and follow, or wherever you get your podcasts. And then hit us up if you want to be in the March Madness. We're going to do a March Madness bracket. We're going to find out who the winner's going to be. And I promise you guys, Ty will try to do better at the March Madness than he did at football this year. With that, I'll see you guys next week.
I got nothing. Just want to. We had a phenomenal guest on who really, really, really is just an exceptional leader, and I wish I could have served with him in the military. But you got him live here tonight to impart all his philosophizing on you. I just want to really touch on some of the things he talked about, but I really want to say, call a battle buddy, call a friend. You don't really know what somebody's going through or what their week looks like or what their day looks like. And they would really appreciate a call from you, just a text, right? Just call somebody, text somebody, tell them thinking about them, telling you love them, telling them you miss them. And, you know, just make sure you reach out to somebody because you don't know what people are going through. And like I always say, don't sweat the petty stuff, pet the sweaty stuff. I love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Big shout out to Jason Wolf. Just wait for the Wolf in Bexar County, running for district attorney. He is a straight shooter, independent candidate. So get out there, vote locally, know what's going on. in your neck of the woods. And like Al and Ramon and Matt said earlier in the show, you got to be sure that you're listening to the right people that aren't feeding you a bunch of BS. Get out, get educated. Shout out to Daddy James Barbecue Sauce, the wonderful things he does for veterans. We love you. We'll see you next week.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, contact the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Then press 1.